Oh boy.
Faithful ride with me. Red and gold blooded to the day I die. Reppin' on a gang and it's all I bleed. Racking up dubs in my Levi jeans. And we run over the league with our whole team. Be that number one seed cause we ballin'. Putting in that work early in the morning. Super Bowl team and now these haters salty.
What's going on, everybody? Was that Ross Dwelly touchdown against Seattle?
Yes, it was. Week 2.
Oh, look at that. Welcome
memory.
to IE Sports Radio. I'm Niners Jess along with Ty Alston, Maddie B, and your girl Bex. We are the East Coast Red and Gold. What's going on, Faithful?
What's good? What's good? How's everybody doing?
Good. It's
Ross
Wednesday.
Dwelly was plus 2,200 to catch that first touchdown in that game, by the way. Don't ask me how I know.
Alrighty.
Because you know everything.
And
I'm surprised you know that, Maddie.
Hilarious story. He was also plus 2,200 the previous year and did the same thing, which is catch a first touchdown of the game. Or catch a TD in the game versus the Seahawks, which is bizarre.
Oh, look at that knowledge.
Little interesting
Maddie
stuff
with the
there.
knowledge right off the start.
Ross bombs immediately.
Ross Dwelly to the Seahawks is like Boston Scott to the Giants. Like they don't show up for anybody else, but that one time they pop in and they're like, "You're mine." Same deal. Like same thing.
We'll take it.
All right.
Right?
Ty's like, all right, I'm out.
Okay, show's over.
You're on mute. All right. So without further ado, let's get our special guests on here. We got Tarrerdome in the house.
Hello, everyone. How's everybody
Ted
doing?
H from TED Talks Ball. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, Jess, Maddie, Ty, Tarrerdome, Bex. How's everybody doing? Thanks for having me.
Good, fellas.
Good. How's everyone
good. Separate me and Tarrerdome a little bit.
Oh, I see. You had to manually do it this time. The gods
I
didn't
think that's
put it that
important.
way.
Boys, to
Don't-
your corners. To your
Oh, wait.
corners.
Here we go.
There you go.
The ladies
Bex.
in the middle.
As I said backstage, the roses amongst the thorns.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Starting already.
I like my odds with this tag team. I really do.
Don't want to have to punch down.
Really do. Me and Tarrerdome, shoot. I think it'd be all right.
Oh, we own, baby.
Oh, we're like picking teams now here.
I know.
Maddie,
right?
Maddie, are you a big Brock Purdy fan too?
I mean, what define fan? Like,
Well, I mean, look, you don't have to hate one to like the other. All right?
Exactly. And that's
Right.
kind of my point. Like, I'm not really a fan of anybody. I'm a fan of who's going to play starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, right?
Woo!
Like, to me, at the end of the day, I am a fan. If you really want to know who I am, I was a Steve Young guy before it was cool to be a Steve Young guy. Okay.
Me too.
Even when Joe Montana was doing the thing, like,
Yep,
I could
too.
see why Bill Walsh wanted Steve Young, because one, he got him at a hell of a value, right? And two, like, he had already lived through a season where Joe Montana was literally left for dead in the hospital, and they thought his season was over, and they had to start Jeff Kemp. Like, and that went absolutely swimmingly. So I keep seeing this stuff, and it's like, I just don't understand why it's so parochial, man. Like, Trey Lance, if something happens to Brock Purdy and he can't make his flight for week 1 for whatever reason, and Trey Lance plays and they win 49-3, like, are we just going to be all up in arms? We're going to keep Trey Lance, and so you got to keep a good thing going, or is everybody going to spin back? And it's ridiculous. Like, I've lived through too many of these. I lived through the Walsh, and we've got 2 quarterbacks and we got to make a decision. I lived through, should Bledsoe or Brady start on Super Bowl week because Brady hurt his ankle in AFC Championship game. I live up here in Maine, and that's what I do. Like, it's just, I'm done with it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the only opinion that matters here is Kyle Shanahan's. And all Kyle Shanahan has said this offseason is that Brock Purdy did things that he wanted done. And it seems pretty obvious to me that he wants a guy that's going to run. He's a director and he wants the actor to be an extension of his movie, right? That's what he wants. He doesn't want him going off script. He doesn't want him freestyling. Like, as great as it would sound to have Patrick Mahomes running this 49ers offense if they'd like scouted him instead of just assuming they were going to get Kirk Cousins. Instead, like, he's found that guy who can do that. Trey Lance had a chance to do that, and unfortunately, like, the moons just went against him. That stupid finger injury, which we all think is so inconsequential, was such a huge impediment to his season. Yet still, when you had to count on Trey Lance to get into the playoffs that year, what did he do against Houston? He showed up in the second half and they won. I don't care if it's Houston or not. It's an NFL team, and he did what he's supposed to do so that they could live and move on and get on to the next week. So, to me, like, I just want to root for all of them. Like, if Allen has to play, great, no problem. Go get it, buddy. Like, that's just how I am. Because I know that Kyle Shanahan will figure out how to make whoever is pushing the buttons the best version of themselves.
Well said, sir. Full of that, man.
Very well said.
Good job,
Round
Rounds
of
of applause.
applause.
What a way to start.
But honestly, if you're a Steve Young guy, you got to be liking Trey Lance. Then I mean,
I loved the Trey Lance move. I was driving through New Hampshire with no cell service when that went through. I heard it on the radio. I'm no joke. This was when this happened. I'm like, I'm going offline for a couple of days. We're heading up to Vermont. Like, we're going out. We're just, it was post-COVID. Like, we got to get and burn some stuff off. And out in the middle of nowhere, absolutely no cell service anywhere. And like, the 49ers have made 3 picks and I can't look anything up. I'm like, what have they done for what? And I'm like, well, it's either Mac Jones or Trey Lance. And they probably feel like they could get Jones at this point if they stay here. But I think they really want to take a look at Trey Lance. Or they were hoping Zach Wilson fell, right? So that didn't happen. They liked what they saw in Lance, and they went with him over Jones. So
I was
and
at
a
that
lot of
press-
us were fooled into thinking it might be Justin Fields. So
yeah, and I'm really surprised by that one, because if you were looking at Trey Lance, I guess, like, what about Trey? I guess they like Trey Lance's ceiling more than Justin Fields. That's what I assume. And I mean, they are the architects of this football team. So if that's how they feel about it, and that's how they feel it would fit within their system, so be it. So Trey Lance, no matter what happens this year, however this goes, Trey Lance is going to do something meaningful for this team. I promise you. I assure you. You won't know when to expect it, but Trey Lance is going to get you. I promise.
love it, Maddie. Love it.
Your mouth to God's
Maddie, we
ears.
got
There you
some
go.
main love from
Yeah.
TL.
Yeah.
Kittery's
Lots of
very
love.
nice.
Love
It's very nice.
you.
They got a lot of outlets in Kittery. If you're into shopping, that's the place for you. Although, if you're
I've been
smarter,
to-
you just go to New Hampshire where there's no sales tax, and you can go to
Mhm.
Portsmouth and they get the same stuff there. But that's
Portland
I've been
is
to-
also a very cool, vibey town if you haven't been to Portland.
I've been to Camden, Maine before. It was a pretty cool little port town.
It's about an hour and a half from me. But yeah, I've been there before too. I used to, when I worked for MBNA, they had offices out there, and the offices there were in the mill. So like, they redid this old mill into like a credit card office. It was really fancy. That was the best thing about working there was you could get those old NFL bobbleheads, and like because they'd give them away. That when you used to sign up for credit cards, they'd give you towels or whatever. Like every year, they'd give out bobbleheads. So you'd write out a form with a fake address, which is right up along the lines of ordering CDs from Columbia
Yep,
House for a penny.
$1. Yeah.
And then,
Oh,
like,
it's
same
like a
deal,
penny.
right? Same line. You get your stuff and you make up a social security number and a fake address and, whatever
I
fake
just
name you
remember-
could come up with that they are not going to be like, this is fake, and you just move on with your day and you leave with your swag. And, yeah, I got my
Swagalicious.
my bobblehead.
I
I just remember a lot of sailboats from Camden, and they had like this cannon that they would fire off at sunset to sort of signal the end of the day, and it would reverberate all through the bay. It was really
Yep.
cool.
It's pretty nice out there.
Yee! That's for you, Reg. Shout out to
Yeah.
everybody in the chat. Welcome. Got a good one here tonight. We got Tarrerdome and Ted. You know what? We might as well start with the quarterback situation. I hate that word, situation.
I know. We gotta find a different word.
What is this, Jersey Shore?
Can we call it the
like
quarterback
situation.
blessing? We
We
have
got
been
do some-
blessed with
All right.
Hand and
Quarterback
laundry,
blessing.
right?
our quarterback
Some-
blessing,
There we
right?
go.
We have been
Snooky,
blessed.
Snooky in the situation. Do some Jim Tan laundry.
Improvements. Damn.
I
someone-
don't necessarily.
Becca, I know you've got a duck
associate that
phone
Joe
somewhere.
with New Jersey.
I know. There's no doubt in my mind that somewhere you're like, hold on, I got a duck phone in like drawer
Thanks,
3.
Ted.
Like, if we could just grab one, that would be great. But
See what you done started.
Yeah, right.
I do have a Mickey Mouse phone that was my grandmother's.
I wish I still had those old. Remember those Sports Illustrated phones that the football phones?
The football
Yeah.
phones, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
man. That was.
Oh yeah.
Those are the
No.
days. You know what? Inside Sports never gave out anything cool like that. Like, lame.
Feel
Still
like
mad
you were in the
about that.
draft room. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Football phone.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, yes. Let's trade the third and our first to move up in this first. Okay, great.
All right, Tarrerdome, I'm going to start with you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know you are a Brock Purdy fan, but what are your thoughts? I mean, I haven't really heard your thoughts on the quarterback blessing, but what are your thoughts of the scenario?
Well, it is indeed a blessing, Jess, and thank you for having me on. Shouting out to everybody. Want y'all to hit that like and subscribe, and we're about to take flight. Trey Lance was drafted here to be the replacement or the supplanter of Jimmy G. I thought he did pretty well. I thought Kyle brought him on in pivotal situations in his rookie year. You can remember the first couple of games. He went in against, I think it was Green Bay in Detroit, and in positive situations, this young man scored effectively in the red zone. And then when he was called upon, the young man performed like he could perform. Obviously, they had some drawbacks on his entire ability. That's why they, I would assume, that's why they gave him such a running heavy platform against Arizona. But against Houston in that second half, this young man performed pretty good. He hit the deep over to Debo. It was looking good. I think it was then that they made the mistake. They went back to Jimmy G.
I
And
agree on that one.
and if it was, I don't want to invoke anybody. I don't want to make anybody mad. But if it was Big Jim Harbaugh, Trey Lance stays in there, buddy. You can go ahead and sit the bench for a little while. We're going to run this until the wheels fall off. But we didn't do that. We put Jimmy G back in, and as everybody knows, he's everybody's favorite because of the jawline or because he gets you girls in Vegas. I don't know, fellas. I guess he's just that guy for you. But then comes Brock Purdy the next year, and I really didn't think very much of him. I didn't follow Big 12 football like that. But man, when he came in against Miami after Jimmy G goes down, and I looked at the poise, I looked at the preparedness, I looked at the pinpoint accuracy and his passing personification. And as I pontificate upon this right now, I said, this young man has come in polished already. That's alliteration for y'all scoring at home and y'all wanting to be authors. I used that P a whole bunch of times. And then we said, well, maybe he got a little lucky, maybe it was just that. And then he goes against the GOAT, whom I consider the greatest quarterback that ever played the game. You may argue
last season,
but it is simply that 89,214 touchdowns, 677 touchdowns, 89,214 yards over 20 years. The man averaged going to a Super Bowl every other year. He has 7 to his title, 10 AFC championships. His wife told him one time, hey, Tom, it's either me or this game. And Tom said, I guess you packing, because I'm all about this game. I love Tom Edward Patrick Brady. And I saw this young man stand down Tom Brady and that Tampa Bay defense dialing it up. and he cut the fool. I ran the tape back and looked at it again. Brock Purdy stood in the moment and ran off 28 unanswered against Tom and the Buccaneers. Had Tom sanding the ball after the end. And I said, maybe we need to see some other stuff. Maybe we need to stuff. So we're going to the vaunted Seattle Seahawks, whose place has been a house of horrors for the San Francisco 49ers in the last few years. Y'all can attest. And he goes up there and performs brilliantly, breaking out an old play I hadn't seen in the West Coast offense in the great Bill Walsh days, when it's called fake right lion, left lion, throw middle. And he hit George Kittle in the middle, and we scored. And then he was moving the ball mobily and doing things in an homage to Russell Wilson. He slid and held that ball out. I said, we got something going here. He then goes on against the Vegas Raiders on New Year's Day. Now, I'm going to talk to you young men out there. I was young one day myself. And if you are in Las Vegas, Nevada on New Year's Eve and you've got millions in your pocket, I know what you young men did that night before. I'm not going to say any names. Some of you are married. Some of you are doing other things. But I know what I was doing at 25, 26, 27 years, and I was broke. So I think we came out a little flat, and we just heaped it on this young man to say, hey, man, we ain't got it today. Can you put up 30 on the road against a hostile environment and our people? And this young man came and performed like
Ty's like, I got stepping away for a minute.
Then gotta reel him back in.
Then he goes undefeated, goes to the playoffs, and those vaunted Seattle Seahawks with Pete Carroll chewing that gum like cows in the cud. He's gonna dial up all these things for him. He went out and put 41 on them. I said, Lord have mercy. I told my wife, D, let's go ahead and get ready, baby. I think we got some heat right here. Then the Dallas Cowboys come to town. Now, some of you will poo-poo the Dallas Cowboys, but if you go to NFL.com and look at who was third in sacks last year, it was the Dallas Cowboys. If you look at their resume on who they have on defense, they have a Pro Bowl, I think an all-pro from last year cornerback, and they have Dan Quinn, who was the head coach when Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta. You think he's seen a little bit of Kyle's offense before? Brock Purdy goes out, and it's playoff football, folks. It ratchets up. You got to come with your game, and it goes to minimizing mistakes, and it goes to just making that play when you need to make it. And in a divisional game against a division foe, against the rivalry of the Dallas Cowboys, who I know to a man, if you were a 49er fan, you know what it was in the 90s when we had to go against those Cowboys. If you older school, you know what it was when we had to go against them Cowboys. He stood the test. He minimized the mistakes, and we got that victory, 19-12. Everybody after the game, I saw the Cowboys fans taking their TVs off the rack and splitting them. Somebody drove his over, but we weren't doing that. You know why? Because we were advancing to the NFC Championship game, and if you felt that we weren't gonna win that game, go ahead and cash your stuff in. Unsubscribe to my channel. Don't even talk to me no more, because I don't associate myself with losers. I felt everything I needed to feel with that young man taking our offense from 24.5 points a game with a 9-year veteran who has Super Bowl rings, who he took the champagne ride with, to 33 points a game. That is not the same guy. That is a good guy. That is a wonderful guy, and that guy was doing it at $900,000 a year, which is 0.004 of your salary cap. Now we can talk all we want. Y'all can say, well, if this happened and that happened. We can leave all the speculation, the hypotheticals, and everything you can bring up. We can try to put it in a lab and try to say this and talk about air yards and a big arm and we need a hero, and you can be like Bonnie Tyler all you want. But sometimes God will send you who you need in your time of need. And I'm saying right now, in front of God and everybody, I feel daggone good with Brock Purdy and the best fullback in the game, the best running back in the game, the best tight end in the game, arguably the best play designer in the game, the best left tackle in the game, the best defense in the game, and 2 former head coaches on our sideline besides our own head coach, Kyle Shanahan. I'm ready for 31 other teams. And if you got your mouth fixed to come up against me tonight, please step into the Tarrerdome.
I'm ready to speak in tongues. I got 2 words for you. Gary Plummer. You want to talk about Dallas? The good old days.
It's real, baby. It's real. It's real. I just give you that uncut raw. I give it to you as I have seen it.
And we appreciate that.
You can talk it all the way you want to talk it and spin it all the way you want to spin it. Somebody was 130 with a passer rating off of play action, which was first in the NFL. Somebody was in rhythm, 125.2 passer rating. Somebody with pre-snap motion, which is what we do here, was 118.3, which was first in the NFL. Somebody threw outside the numbers, 112.9, first in the NFL, not in the NFC, not against Jimmy G, not against Chicago Bears, not against all of them. Line them up one by one. Let me get my Ric Flair on. That's you, Patrick Mahomes. That's you, Jalen Hurts. That's Jalen Hurts. That's you, Josh Allen. He was number 1 outside the numbers, 112.9. And against the blitz, this man stood in the pocket and went 67%. Ladies and gentlemen, he did that as a rookie. You ain't supposed to do that as a rookie. It takes you 4-5 years to get in there. This man came in there like Rakim back in the door. I came in the door. I said it before. I never let the mic magnetize me no more. Hey, it is what it is. And if traditional value holds true and you're supposed to get better your first year to your third, well, dang. How much more we got?
So, Tara, did you see the cognition test that he scored, in the Drew Brees and like elite quarterback levels on the cognition test too? I think that was part of why the Niners actually spent some draft capital on him, is because of his scores in the cognition test, not the Wonderlic, which is your IQ test, but this is your quick reflex capabilities. And I guess it's very telling that, they can take the people that have taken it now and start to quantify and put people in skill levels of this number correlates to these people and their success and their abilities. So his numbers are up there in the elite category.
Bex, can you say that again? Did you say in the what category was that?
The elite category.
Elite.
Scores,
Is that ELITE? That elite. Elite. I'm hearing that right.
Upper level elite.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted clarification, sweetie. Thank you so much. And let me shout out the ladies of the San Francisco 49ers. It's nothing finer than being a 49er. God bless every one of you. I'll yield my time to the floor.
Thank you, Tarrerdome. All right, Ted. You
Well-
are up to rebut Tarrerdome, which I'm sure
Hey,
you
you
are.
know, I mean, everything Tarrerdome said is true. I mean, he didn't lie when he said any of those things. It's just that he said for a rookie, and he said some things, he said some things that are very true, and they're part of what I would say, which is best running back, best fullback, best tight end, best wide back. I mean, Debo was one of the best wide receivers, period, in 2021 with 1,400 receiving yards. Ayuk, one of the most underrated wide receivers. A solid offensive line. Kyle, one of the best play callers. Yeah, and the number one D. So these are all things that I would say too. But when I'm saying them, I'm saying how many quarterbacks can you stick in our situation that could do what Brock Purdy did? And to me, the answer is more than 10 in the NFL could do that. And so that's really what it comes down to. I think a lot of 49ers fans have Stockholm syndrome. That's where somebody imprisons you for long enough and you fall in love with your captors. And I think we have fallen in love with mediocre QBs because we've been captivated by Jimmy G for 5 seasons or 6 seasons, whatever it's been. And people have talked themselves into this notion that having a strong arm doesn't matter. We don't need it. Like most of our shows are short. We don't need somebody with a strong arm. And it's just not true. Now, I'm not saying I want a strong arm QB who can't throw short. And that's not it at all. I'm saying I want somebody who can do what Purdy can do, but who, has a bigger arm, who's faster, taller. I'm not saying Trey Lance will be that, but he certainly has the tools to do that. And anytime we're comparing them, you got to know that Trey Lance didn't play with CMC at all. Huge difference maker. We were 12-0 with CMC as a starter rolling into that Eagles game. And also the points that he threw out, actually, he did have a bad stat. The points that he threw out were with CMC, but he's counting the Chiefs game where CMC only had a practice and a half. He didn't play in the second half. So I don't count the Chiefs game. I count the 4 games that CMC started with Jimmy, and then Jimmy scored 26 points, so 7 points less. And then, the defense got 2.4 turnovers per game for Purdy. For Jimmy, they only got him 1.2 turnovers per game. So 1.2 turnovers is easily worth 3 to 4 points in a game. And Brock, yeah, he played some solid defenses, but some of them were really injured, and some of them weren't solid, and some of them weren't solid and were injured. So that's why playing a full season is so important, because it keeps these statistical anomalies from happening where you have a small sample size and your competition isn't necessarily up to snuff. And when it was with the Cowboys, we struggled there. You could easily say if Pollard stays healthy, they could have beat us. If Diggs holds on to that interception, I don't know, would have been closer to a tie maybe. Certainly would have been a different game. So, and Purdy, a lot of his throws were interceptable and got dropped. So again, a lot of what we saw, it looks good. I'm glad we won. I'm not bashing on Brock. I like Purdy a lot. I like Lance a lot. I just prefer the idea of what I think Lance can be, but I can't prove that he can do it. I just know that he has new mechanics that we haven't seen in a game. We haven't seen him with CMC. We've barely seen him with Kittle. And those two guys are huge, absolute difference makers. He said best tight end in the game, best running back in the game. And it's not just that. It's who's up after them, right? I mean, you go Ross Dwelly, Warner. I mean, those guys they can't hold Kittle's jock. I'm sorry. And Elijah Mitchell is a hell of a back. He's probably a better pure runner than CMC. How many games did he play for us last season? I think he started 1 game and played 5 total. So, it's not just how good those guys are that Lance is missing. It's how bad, I don't want to say bad, but how big of a drop-off it is to the next guys on the depth chart. And so, look, I love Purdy, but let's also be real. Purdy's coming off a UCL injury, all right? He has not been cleared to play. Even once he's physically cleared to play, he will have to get mentally cleared to play. He will have to trust his arm to rip it. He will have to trust his weapons and the timing between them, the synchronization. And he will have to trust that he can take a hit and get up and throw again and wait for people to uncover and take that knowing that he's going to get creamed. So there's going to be some time after that. And let's be honest, Brock Purdy may never be the same as he was in 2022. It's just Jimmy G was never the same after his ACL. So to sit here and just say like, oh, Purdy's going to be the same guy, I hope he is. I hope he's better. I hope he gets time to rehab and he's able to actually strengthen that arm, because otherwise he was limited with arm strength, limited with height, and limited with top speed. Now, though none of them are deal breakers, none of those are the most important thing. The most important thing is what he's got upstairs. He's got the leadership, he's got the accuracy, he's got the footwork, the timing. There's so many things that he does really, really well. But the thing is, most of that stuff can be learned. He also has 48 starts in college compared to Lance only 17. So it's not surprising that he would be more polished and put together. So again, I'm not promising that Lance can do it. What I will promise is that if we let Lance walk out the door and he reaches his ceiling on another team, Kyle will never hear the end of it. And as fans, we'll never live it down. We'll be hearing about it till the end of time, and with good reason. I mean, here you got this guy you moved up for, you spend all this capital, you don't develop him, you let him walk out the door, he turns into a franchise QB somewhere else, and you're just like, you got egg on your face for all time. So I think we need to figure out what we've got.
Even if we win a Super Bowl this year?
All right, so you're saying if Brock Purdy starts week 1 and we go all season and win the Super Bowl, do we need to find out what we have? No, I mean, will
we have egg on our face if Lance goes somewhere else next season?
No, but it'll probably take Lance some time too. So I don't think you can worry about it. I don't think you can worry about it if you win the Super Bowl.
Right.
But I'll put it this way, Bex. None of our 4 QBs has played a full NFL season. So if you're expecting any one of them to walk in and play the whole season and win the Super Bowl, also no QB has ever won the Super Bowl under the age of 27, I believe the number is. Yeah. So not saying it can't happen. It's always, hasn't been done until it has been done.
Right.
But there's some obstacles in our way to winning a Super Bowl. Not to mention, right tackle, defensive end on the other side of Bosa. People like Isaiah Oliver, but Jimmy Ward is a big loss. Azeez Al-Shire is a hell of a linebacker. We should be fine as long as Dre and Fred can stay healthy, but Dre doesn't tend to stay healthy very well. So
that is true. It doesn't.
So there are some concerns. And ultimately, here's one thing I talk about. Like, okay, so Purdy maybe was good enough to win it all last year. I'll say that. I mean, I think we were 50-50 with the Eagles if Purdy stays healthy. I think it's like a shootout, comes down to the last play of the game, or even you got to shake your head. Do you think we had the advantage maybe?
I think okay. Even the Kelsey brothers on the podcast that they did with Brock were hinting at that. Like, it would have been a whole different game if Brock stayed healthy. They were worried.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 50-50. Like, either team could have won.
They did
you think the Niners would have won?
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Well, then what odds would you have given us in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes? I was saying 45, 55, or 40-60 advantage Chiefs.
Oh, this year for us against the Chiefs? No, I think we had beaten
the Eagles, like you're saying.
I think we totally whooped the crap out of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
We would have beat them.
Yeah, we would have totally beat them.
All right.
Not the same team we played the last time. They absolutely were not the same team. Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, in week
for whatever
7,
reason,
we were close.
For whatever reason,
we were in the foot.
We were underdogs against the Eagles. Maybe it's because it was in Philadelphia, but we were underdogs against the Eagles, and we did end up losing the game. I think we would have been underdogs even by more against the Chiefs with good reason. Patrick Mahomes has already won a Super Bowl. Now he's won 2, but obviously maybe not against us. The bottom line is that when we started the 2022 playoffs, we were only missing basically Emmanuel Mosley, other than quarterbacks. So we're missing Lance, we're missing Jimmy G. But if Purdy stays healthy, that doesn't really hurt you, does it? So we're only missing Mosley, and Lenore was playing well. So the chances, I think, of us being as healthy for the 2023 playoffs as we were for 2022 is like slim and none, especially considering that we're looking at minus 20 rest days, worst in the NFL. And there are 3 teams with plus 12 rest days. They literally have 32 more rest days, and that's over a month in a 4-month season, more rest. And that adds up, especially towards the end of the season. It's less ice, it's less practice. You train, you have to recoup. These guys, most of them can't walk after a game, usually a couple days after a game. It takes a lot of rest and recuperation. Then you got to practice for the next game. And having that, I think, will add up for us too. So like I was kind of thinking 13-4 for us this season. Now I'm sort of more thinking like 12-5.
Well, I would say these words: next man up. I think our depth chart is really, really stellar this year, especially with a lot of people coming back healthy. I mean, we've got good problems on every position right now with marquee players to start, and really great depth in the depth chart. And I think we definitely have that to our advantage. We do have a good problem, and I would say those same three words about quarterback. You get a shot, right, in the NFL, and if you don't perform or you get hurt, things happen. It's the next man up. And if that guy comes into plays, lights out, you're going to have a hard time getting your job back. And that's what you see with Trey Lance right now. No one dislikes Trey. No one wants to see anything bad happen to Trey. I hope he's healthy. I hope he's better than ever. I hope he walks in and he's ready to fight for, his spot. And when he's ready and it's his time to be the next man up, if something happens, we're going to shake the candlestick dirt and say, no, it's not gonna. To Purdy, Purdy is our starter day one. We want him to be the guy who's healthy, performing with his lightning speed and quick thinking and all of his whatever high performing skills and all of these marquee players all over the place that he has to target. We want that to happen for our quarterback. We want that to happen for our QB too. We wanted that for Josh Johnson, and it didn't happen in Philadelphia. And we had to throw Christian McCaffrey under center. My God, we're like, okay, anybody in the audience play quarterback ever once in high school? Could you come try on a helmet and some?
Literally everyone in section 217 offered to play quarterback, even though they were Eagles fans, because they all thought they could do it.
We're going to have tryouts on the sideline right now.
Yes.
Is there a doctor in the house? Is there a doctor in the house?
There's quarterback.
I offered my UCL.
I'm ready. Put me in, coach. I can run a few routes. So you want your quarterbacks to all be those guys. Sam Darnold, for goodness sakes, if he needs to come in and play, we want him to be able to win games for us. We absolutely want. He did look like a deer caught in the headlights. You're absolutely right. That's all I said the whole game. I'm like, this poor guy wants to get hurt so bad because he does not want this on his.
And then he did.
Shoulders.
And then he did.
And then he did. Yes, David, you're absolutely right. He looked exactly like that, scared and starry-eyed. We don't want that for your guy coming in. You want the guy coming in to be like, I need to prove myself right now. This is my shot. I want to be able to say, look what I did. Look what I was ready for. I'm ready for action when I need to do it. So the whole argument with both of them, it's unfortunate what happened to Trey. It really is. It really is. But you have a hungry young kid sitting in the background going, hey, if I get a chance to shine, I'm going to eat all day long. As long as I get the ball, I'm going to serve it up as hard and as well as I can and show the world what I got. Here's my chops. Watch me work. And when it's your turn, that's what you got to do. You have to do that. And that's what you want from everybody in your quarterback. Next man up. We say that all the time when we talk about football. Somebody goes down, next man up. You want that guy to be ready. And the same thing applies to quarterbacks, to wide receivers, to anybody who's in this game. So, that's what we have to think about and apply that at every position. Leave the emotion out of it and the whole, I love this guy, I love that guy. Oh, he got a raw deal. No, he didn't. He got a chance. He got hurt. Unfortunately, maybe he didn't learn the playbook as well as he needed to. And that's why he kept having running plays. Maybe he wasn't picking up those complicated, complex schemes that Kyle runs. Maybe that he wasn't quite there yet. And that's why they kept running him. You don't know. They're playing to his ability. They're going to play him to his ability. And if that was his level, that was his level. And if he took a chance to run and got hurt, that's the NFL. Brock Purdy went one split second different in that play. Maybe he doesn't tear his UCL or whatever, So everything is timing. Everything is a moment in time. It happens. And that's the way the cookie crumbles,
Whoever gives us the best chance to win is who I want under center.
1,000%.
Ty, I want to get your thoughts on Tarredome's
Sermon.
question.
Wait, what question did he ask? Did he ask
It's will Trey be the same after?
No,
his
he's in the
season
chat.
ending
He's
injury?
in there trash talking me in the chat. Like, what the hell is this?
Oh, that
Come
question
on,
on
dude.
screen.
Grow
Okay.
up,
Yeah.
Tarrerdome. For
That
Christ's
So
sake.
first of all,
Sorry.
let me say apologize for letting my emotions get the best of me.
He had to take a walk.
If you know me, I have a big problem with the book of he. He scored. He did this. He did that. And you can ask Jordan Elliott. He wrote an article last year of how James Garoppolo was driving the 49ers offense. And every time he threw the ball, he converted first downs. It was all on him. And I had a big problem with that. I said, wait, hold up, Jordan. If it's 3rd and 9 and he's throwing a 2-yard pass to CMC and CMC is taking it 10 yards, how does James get all that credit? I have a big problem with the book of he. So that's what happened there. Right? Okay. So Trey, will he be the same? We don't know. We got to wait and see. Just like we don't know if Brock will be the same. We got to wait and see. Our hope is that they're both fine and they're both okay. And we're going to think positive thoughts and say that's what it will be. Because we want them to be 100% and be the same high level, intelligent, developing quarterbacks that they are. Because that just helps us.
That's it, Ty?
It's a simple answer.
I was like,
It's a simple answer.
I was waiting for this whole time. Even
I
Greg
was
was here.
That's what I did. I was like, I'm gonna need to re-up my drink.
I was answering the question.
Fresh. Ty's gonna give the rebuttal.
I have a question for Bex.
Uh-oh.
So starter gets injured, and next man up comes in and plays, and the starter is healthy again. Do you put the starter back in, or does the next man up stay in?
I think that depends. We've seen it go both ways. I mean, you've seen it where depends on the injury, right? Like somebody gets their bell rung and someone comes in for a few plays. Obviously, your starter's coming back. But if it's a serious injury and someone's coming in and they're playing well, then that's a coaching decision, right? That's going to be how the coach sees their ability against the team we're playing, the long-term ability of who's in there, depending on your position, right? Like if your guy that comes back is Nick Bosa and you got somebody subbing and he's doing the best he can, you know who's going back in that game. So next man up may not necessarily perform at the same level as the guy he's replacing, but certainly he's going to do his best. So that's his job, right? You want to make an impact. You want to be the guy that gets called on or gets more rotation, more reps, get your contract renewed, maybe become valuable trade capital and go somewhere else where you get a great contract. So I think anybody that's next man up is coming in to play to the best of their ability in any given opportunity. But, if you're talking about, yes, exactly, hypotheticals, conjecture, speculation, but it is all that way. Like if you're talking about the quarterback competition of this guy's playing really well and now this guy comes in and plays really well, I think it can go one of two ways. If someone is showing that they're going to take it to the stratosphere, like Brock Purdy did last year, there's no way, I don't care if Jimmy Garoppolo was healed by Jesus and was sitting on the sidelines, was he taking that job back from Brock Purdy? Purdy was playing exactly how Kyle Shanahan wanted a quarterback to play his system. Jimmy Garoppolo has always had those cringeworthy all the time where you just go, oh, he's going to overthrow. Oh, he missed the guy. He missed wide open. Like we had touchdown. No, man, come on. Don't do that to us. He was always with those kind of plays. You would get a check down, a little this, a bing bong, maybe a lucky play here and there. But, you have Purdy threading needles and hitting George Kittle in triple coverage or whoever it was in triple cover, like those kind of things. Purdy was laser sharp, focused, and able to make these plays that Jimmy Garoppolo could never, ever do. And when they actually said Purdy was taking over, you could see the eyes, like their eyes just light up. The whole team from him playing the scout team were like, oh, this is going to be great. He's so like, he takes the shot. He takes the chance. He does exactly what you should be trying to do as a quarterback in the hypothetical. Run the play. Even if we intercept you, at least you know what you're doing wrong. Don't wait and like, oh, we're going to two-hand touch you, and then you're going to throw the ball and somebody's going to catch it. No, it doesn't work that way in the live environment. So they were super excited for him to come in because they had already seen what he could do in the hypothetical. So in the real world, when he performed that well, great. But next man up means different things in different positions. So, if you want to, yeah, exactly. It's not always, again, you're going to have the next man up for Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. When those guys are healthy, they're going back in because their level of play is, apples and oranges. It's not trying to compare two of the same thing that are really close in nature. But yeah, that's my.
No, the reason I asked is because Trey Lance was our starter to start last season. And he got injured. Then Jimmy came in, got injured. Then Brock came in, and now he's injured. So, it's not so cut and dry of like who goes back in.
That's why
I think they should have a competition. I think that if Purdy's so great, then Purdy fans shouldn't fear an open and fair competition with Trey Lance to see once Purdy's even cleared to play. Let's put that straight.
And
he's not even practicing yet.
We did talk about this, many times about, is he going to see ghosts? Is he going to be the same guy? Is he going to have like that fear of getting hit and hurt and injured? You have to get the kinks out. You have to get him under center and start time to be able to play. Good job, Ty. God. He's the technical guy too, by the way.
He saw some ghosts.
So yeah, we have talked about that potential too as well, where a guy gets hurt and mentally, you have to be able to bounce back as well as physically. So it's an unknown. It really is. But all we can do is the management has said in their own words, he is the starter until he's proven otherwise. He's not.
Wait, when did they say that?
They did not. They said it's a competition and he's the leader in the clubhouse. If he's healthy, and he's not healthy.
Who said that?
I believe John Lynch said it's his job to lose.
What else did he say? Finish that sentence.
If healthy.
I'll let Kyle make that decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Which everyone ignores.
Yeah.
So can we wait for Kyle?
Well, sure. Absolutely. Because right now he's rehabbing. He's not cleared to start, so absolutely not. But I think the word saying it's his job to lose very clearly solidifies where their mind is on who's going to start the season, provided he's healthy to start. The management team is saying it out loud. They're saying that. We're not hearing that through the grapevine.
Everybody's going to hear a lot of different people say when they think Brock Purdy is going to be ready. But I would advise everybody here to wait for Brock Purdy to say when Brock Purdy is going to be ready. He won't. I don't think he's going to allow himself to be rushed. We've heard different timelines from the national media, from Lynch, from Kyle. But Purdy's the one who said, I don't know when I'll be ready to play this season. So he's not saying week one. We'll see when he says he's ready.
Hey, that's fair.
We know he won't rush.
I found it interesting.
He's fine.
Go ahead. I found it interesting. On ESPN.com, they got Trey Lance listed as the third string quarterback. How do you guys want to come back on that one? I'll yield the floor to your answer.
What do they know?
Trey Lance is QB1.
We talked about this too.
It's garbage. Trey Lance is QB1 until Brock Purdy is ready to play, period. Or until Darnold beats him out. But they said the competition doesn't begin until training camp, and that's still a couple more weeks away. So
forget the competition, forget all that stuff. Let's just use common sense. Like your mama would say, use some common sense.
Tie with the logic. Watch out.
We got Brock. And we know what he did last year. He's the incumbent. We'll pencil him in at number 1. Now we got 2 quarterbacks. A bit of a question mark. We don't know what they'll be. But one quarterback has been here 2 years. He knows the playbook, and he has a rapport with some of the receivers. The other quarterback is brand new, fresh. Oh, wait. The other quarterback who knows the playbook, he's coming off an ankle injury, as we know. The other quarterback is brand new, doesn't know the system, has no rapports with any of the receivers. And let's forget, he's coming off a broken bone in his throwing shoulder. Who would you put in at quarterback number 2? And who would you put in at quarterback number 3? What makes sense there? That's why I say, what does ESPN know? Because they're probably just looking at names on the paper and going, oh, yeah, we'll just write this guy in. We'll write that guy in. And not considering all the factors involved.
Well, ESPN, if you mean Adam Schefter, said that we were going to take Mac Jones. And number 3, ESPN said that we were going to trade Lance during the 2023 draft. How did those work out, Tarrerdome?
No, that didn't happen. That is a notional, that is a hypothetical, that is a conjecture that didn't happen. I am saying when one goes into Google right now and says 49er depth chart, it will come up saying Brock Purdy is number 1. It will come up and say Sam Darnold is number 2.
Brock Purdy hasn't been cleared to play.
Saying that your boy Trey Lance is number 3. That is factual. That is happening right now in the moment. I don't live in your world, young man. I live in the world of reality right now. And that's what it said. I just asked you, how do you respond to that? It doesn't take
bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit.
Brock
Purdy hasn't been cleared to play. He can't be QB1. He could not play a game this week.
Before just cussing at somebody, that says something about your intelligence. Again, we're going to get to how do you feel about ESPN stating that Brock Purdy is number 3 on the depth chart. That was my only question. You coming back at me
since
with
they fired Steve Young.
And that's what's wrong with the Lance contingent. Y'all got to come back and punch. I don't even have to punch, man. It is what it is. But if you want to get there.
But it isn't what it is. Show me the 49ers depth chart. Tarrerdome, there is none. I don't give a shit what ESPN says.
Again, you got to use yourself cussing. 189.
They're guessing. They're guessing, and you're reaching.
But here it is, Ted. He just learned how to throw a spiral in March of 2023. He had to go out somewhere and learn how to throw a spiral. That's why he won't in there. That's why he is 3rd on the depth chart.
He's not 3rd on the depth chart.
If you want to make it a quid pro quo, hey, I can get down in the dirt with you. I stay high, but I can get down in the mud with you, Ted.
You're definitely high, that's for sure.
Look at me. You're dealing with me right now. This ain't Flav, and this ain't all them little punkified hee-haw boys. I will tell you exactly what it is.
Hold on. Guys, time out.
Put it together.
I'm out here.
And they made him 3rd on the depth chart, and they got Sam Darnold because he simply cannot play. That's what it is.
We're all on the same, fellas. We're all on the same team here. We obviously like, what our quarterbacks,
No, that's just disrespect.
Just
period.
Chill out.
I'm matching your energy, Ted.
Come out until a couple weeks.
I'm matching your energy. You came back at me. What about that, Tarrerdome? Oh. Well, you done punch.
Brock Purdy is not cleared to play. He cannot be number 1 on the depth chart.
Let me show you this overhand right. That's all I'm saying. You got to
You're
make up a
talking
whole
crazy,
you gotta
bro.
make
That's
up
it.
a whole bunch
So
of
keep
different
going.
facts,
You're gonna look
and
like
you
a
gotta
fool.
ask.
But go
I
ahead.
was sitting down here playing buzzword bingo with you, and you crossed off all your lists. It's a higher ceiling, big arm, Patrick Mahomes. Oh my God, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, we just want Patrick Mahomes. If y'all want Patrick Mahomes that bad, go ahead and be a Kansas City Chief. Go ahead and be a Philadelphia Eagle. This is San Francisco 49ers. We rolling with Brock. Get yourself
Stockholm
together.
syndrome.
Or 95
Stockholm
runs,
syndrome.
95 runs north and south.
You've fallen in love with
leave.
your captor,
You
Tarrerdome.
can leave.
I'm not going anywhere.
So you're just gonna sit here and be a malcontent, a contrarian.
Yeah.
You're the count of contrarianism.
All right, let's take a couple deep
Mecca, you had
breaths.
one
We're not
job.
used to this
Keep
kind of
them
energy on our
separated.
show.
Let's take a couple deep breaths here.
Listen,
Listen, everybody drink. It's time to
Yes.
Fired up.
go.
Let's take a
Any
couple
list,
deep breaths here.
any list that has Brock Purdy as number QB1 right now is invalid. He cannot play right now. So it's just ridiculous.
Ted, even so. Like I said, forget all that other stuff. Let's just apply
ESPN
some
is
logic,
invested in their
logic to the
narrative
situation.
of Darnold
right?
having the edge, even though they weren't there at OTAs, they weren't there at minicamp, and every one of our guys that was there said it's even or advantage Lance. But just disregard that, Tarrerdome.
I have a question though. How about we just all let it play out?
Well, we will. And that's what we
Absolutely.
want.
Yeah.
It
You
shall.
know?
Okay.
We'll just let it play out. Like I said, and we haven't heard from Kyle, and we know
Right.
he's the decision maker. The problem here is we know Kyle's going to keep this close to his chest.
Amen, Melissa.
He's not going to let anyone know until like Friday before we play Pittsburgh.
And
Who's
that's
going to
even,
start?
and you know what, Ty? That's even
That's
if
our
he even says
advantage.
anything.
Right. Exactly. He may
Because Kyle doesn't owe it to anybody. He doesn't
Right.
owe it to anybody to announce a starter.
right.
As long as the people in that building
No.
know who the starter is, that's all that matters.
And
Exactly.
Kyle will
And
wait
that's
to the
all I
very
care
last
about.
possible second to declare it.
Well,
He will
Yeah, but
use
he
it.
may not even do that, Ted. He may not even do that.
Yeah, he may
He
not.
may,
public,
he may,
yeah.
he may have that
Strategy.
meeting and say, you know what, this is who number one is, this is who the starter is, and that's it.
Remember
you know what?
before
We're fans. We're fans. We want to hear that. We want to hear, oh, Trey Lance is a starter. Brock Purdy's a starter. Who cares? Who cares? Like I said earlier,
Amen.
it's whoever gives us the best chance to win.
To win. Yes.
That's
remember
it.
before the broken finger, there was going to be a partnership, right? There was going to be some snap sharing. You're going to see Trey Lance in for some series and then Jimmy in for some series. And in fact, you saw that in Detroit, even to start the year, even after the finger thing happened, right? So they've planned this before. Also, DeBerg in Montana did that for a while. And Young in Montana did that for a while. Bookends on each side. Basically, at the end of the day, we're caught in a 49ers multiverse, guys. Steve DeBerg is Jimmy Garoppolo reincarnated. Okay, they're the same dude. Except the difference this time is instead of replacing Jimmy Garoppolo with Joe Montana, who in this case playing the role of Joe Montana is not Joe Montana yet, and I'm not saying he is Brock Purdy.
Big old asterisk. by his
Instead of
name.
replacing it with him, you're trying to replace him with Steve Young, in this case, Trey
I see what you're
Lance.
saying.
And you're seeing what's happening in this case. And somehow he just kind of fell into it, right? Like it's the greatest confluence of things. But DeBerg and Garoppolo, like, yeah, same dude. Because if you look at the quarterbacks before that, because Jim Plunkett was getting killed every week, I believe Scott Bull, I believe, was the quarterback that Steve DeBerg took over for or something, or was working with for a little bit, which, remember the Brian Hoyer, that era, right? And then you jump up to Jimmy, who had won a couple of Super Bowls, got hot at the end of the year, gave some hope, beat a Jaguars team that ended up in the AFC title game, by the way, and beat them pretty soundly in a huge game. And then the next year it all went to hell in a handbasket. But
He got injured.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then the trend began, right? And then you're like, oh, shoot, this isn't the next Joe Montana. This is Steve DeBerg, right? Steve DeBerg threw for 4,500 yards in 79. 4,500 yards in 79.
That was
That's a big deal,
Big
guys.
number.
That
Yeah.
45, like for those of you that were
Back
in the
then?
90s and like Frank Gore is your favorite player and Patrick Willis is your favorite player because that's who you grew up with. Like back in 1979, if you threw for 4,500 yards, like you were probably on steroids. Right? And Steve
All he
DeBerg
did was
definitely
run.
wasn't because Bill Walsh just started to unlock the code and get things going, right? But the thing with Steve DeBerg was he wasn't quite as accurate as Walsh needed him to be because he didn't have the footwork that one Joseph Montana had.
Yeah.
And once Montana's footwork caught up with his accuracy, it was lights out, and he was trying to get him in every chance he could. And then DeBerg was gone and sent off to Denver, I believe. So that's kind of how that happened. And they tried to do the same thing with Young, but the coaching staff fought it. And like, even though Young had a decent record, like he was never able to overcome and get hot especially after that Phoenix game in '88. So this is what we're in. This is what we're caught in. This is what it's going to be. It's been like this since the franchise started. Frankie Albert to Y.E. Tittle, to Y.E. Tittle, to John Brody, to John Brody, to Steve Spurrier, back to John Brody, John Brody to Jim Plunkett.
Run it down, Maddie. Run him
And then
down,
you've got-
Maddie.
And then
Run
you've
it
got
down, Maddie.
and then
Go
Montana to
Matt.
Young,
Go Matt.
right?
Go Matt.
And you got that whole deal. And then you've got Smith to Kaepernick. It never stops. It never stops. And then Jimmy to Trey and now to Brock. Like the grind never stops with this team and this quarterback movement. Like this is just the 49ers brand, man.
It's nothing
Yeah.
new.
Shout
On
out to
brand.
Maddie. Shout out to 49er Nation, man. That was awesome.
Exactly.
And Maddie, you done did your work, and I respect your grind because if y'all see the floating, rotating San Francisco 49er helmet directly behind me is that Bill Walsh book, and he is saying quite a bit of the sentiment that you are echoing right now, young man. That was well done. Well said.
Thank you. I may have a few or 12,000 books, and a few of them may have involved Bill Walsh, and even the Holy Grail one there that they talk about, which is all coach speak, which is crazy to me.
You can't even find that book.
That's the
a
Holy
tough
Grail.
read, man. That's a
And
tough
that
read.
I'm not even going to tell you. My wife is on right now. I'm not even going to tell you how much I paid for that book.
Hey, Mrs. Tarrerdome. Oh, I know.
Honey, that book is expensive.
Tarrerdome, you go.
Yeah,
We're outing you right now. It's an expensive book.
I don't even know who has the autograph in mind, but like
Oh
I tell people that's my nickname. So it's
Oh
move on.
my
I can't remember what it was. It's like Chachi or something. I don't know.
Yeah. You got to take out a little loan from somebody.
Oh yeah. I have somebody. Let me hold something.
Double down on
We're
the
gonna
deal.
finance that for 8 months with Klarna is what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah. If you want that autograph one, boy, what?
It's definitely one of those. No, the shoes only I got them on sale.
I got them,
Wow.
and that's my wife's favorite thing. But it was on sale.
It was on sale. Of course, it was on sale.
That isn't a real justifiable reason.
No, it's not a real justifiable response because sale does not mean the same thing. When you're talking
Nope.
about Louboutins
They
and
mark
and
it up
Louis
just to
Vuitton
mark it down.
and the
Oh,
Bill
yeah.
Walsh book.
Yeah. It's
It's
real.
expensive.
Ted, I got a question for you, Ted. You mentioned earlier about having a big arm quite a bit. Why is that so important? You're on
You're
mute.
muted.
Because when you have the ability to throw deep, it forces a safety to stay back out of the box. So it makes it easier to run the ball. It makes it easier to get yak. If you couple a big arm with the ability to beat the defense running the ball, then they are also forced, one of the remaining defenders in the box is forced to spy the quarterback and not cover your other weapons. So you effectively, by being able to run the ball effectively as a quarterback and throw deep, take two defenders out of the box and make it much easier, give more space and less attention to all your other weapons, to run the ball, to get yak, to do things like that. So I'm not saying you have to throw it deep all the time. It's just the ability to do it keeps D's honest. If you look at how defenses line up against quarterbacks who can throw the ball well, yes, Tarrerdome, Patrick Mahomes sees a lot of two high safeties. And Brock Purdy sees a lot of one high safeties. And so that means that they are daring Purdy to throw deep, and they are trying to make Patrick Mahomes not throw deep. So when you see people compare Purdy's stats and Patrick Mahomes' stats, keep that in mind, folks. They're not facing the same type of defensive fronts. Also, the 49ers have the best weapons in football. Like KC has Kelsey, but they got not much else. They got Juju Smith-Schuster as their best wide receiver. They don't have CMC as a running back. They do not have the same weapons group that the 49ers have. And they also throw the ball a lot more often than the 49ers do. So the stats are skewed that way too, because if you don't throw very often, then the defense isn't ready for it like they are with Patrick Mahomes, who's throwing it more than any other team in the NFL. So Jack Hammer posted some little stat, and I quote tweeted it, and I said, this is a cry for help. Comparing Purdy to Patrick Mahomes is a fool's errand, and I'm sorry for anybody who thinks that, only box score scouts and people who don't watch games think that they're in the same conversation. If you watch games besides the 49ers, you realize that Purdy's a great little quarterback, but he's not great. He's above average. He's not great. He's not elite. Some of his stats might be, but you could plug in a lot of other quarterbacks in this league and get those elite stats or better.
Like Josh Johnson.
Definitely
Josh Johnson is not
Josh
a starting
Johnson.
quarterback, dude.
Yeah.
All right, and here's the deal with Josh Johnson. Here's the deal with the quarterback rule for the playoffs. Here's the problem with it is you can have a pretty good quarterback as your third quarterback, but if you're putting him in cold in Kyle's system without practicing the plays, they're not going to look a whole lot better than Josh Johnson did. So that's the dirty little secret about this new rule is that unless they're getting lots of practice reps to be synced up and ready to play, they're not going to look that great. Maybe a little better. They won't maybe look like a deer in the headlights, but they'll probably still make a lot of mistakes, and the offense will not look like it looked with your first two quarterbacks.
I agree. I mean, what if he's like a 7th round pick last 262, and you just throw him in at the 13th week after somebody got hurt? I mean, who's going to expect that guy to be good?
He was getting scout team reps ever since Jimmy G went down over 10 weeks. So stop that narrative. That's bullshit.
He was our backup quarterback.
To circle back on your comment.
Bullshit, Hugh.
To circle back on your comment, anybody who's comparing Brock Purdy to Patrick Mahomes obviously is not looking at schemes and quarterbacks because they're not the same kind of player. They're not in the same system. They don't run anything that even is remotely the same. And I would argue that you can't compare the two of them. They're not the same kind of player.
All I'm saying, Bex, is it's a couple of ways to skin a cat. It's a couple of ways to complete your mission.
Well, sure.
And let's say, the premise and the gold standard is somebody the size of, LeBron James, who's 6'8", 260, coming downhill and throwing it down. But then you get a skinny kid out of Davidson who doesn't look the part, who isn't the part, who doesn't play like we need, we don't want him to be our franchise guy. And then he comes in, and it's just a different way of getting it done. It's not take the top off the defense, run downhill. It's a different way.
Curry won just as many rings in 7 less seasons.
It doesn't mean you have to.
Curry's better.
Mean you have
if you're looking
to
at rings.
down the other guy either. Just because
Curry is the best 3-point shooter in history. That's like a deep threat. Like what? It's not comparable. Purdy is not Steph Curry, bro. He's not even close to Steph Curry.
Listen to the whole analogy. Did you ever take your SAT? This is an analogy.
Whoa.
It's a different way of looking at getting done. You can get to the same goal without going traditional. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So did we get to the goal? So Tarrerdome, did we get to the goal? Did we get number 6? Did we get number 6?
This was just the rookie
year.
Was
number 6.
This was just the rookie year.
Hold
Did
on,
Steph
guys.
in his rookie year?
Get the goal.
Answer
the question.
We didn't win a Super Bowl, so
We're talking basketball.
It doesn't count. It doesn't count.
It all counts. It all counts. We got quarterbacks who play different styles of football or at different levels. Steph Curry lives and dies by a 3-point shot. These other guys who came out.
Actually, he doesn't, but he is the best 3-point shooter ever. He also can take it to the rack.
Well,
he also is a good passer. He also gets a lot of steals.
The Warriors initially, their whole entire they came out. They were firing from 3-point range. That was how they were.
Arguably the best player in the NBA right now, and Maybe Jokic is better
I'm
right
not
now.
going to argue.
Right now.
Purdy's not even a top 10
different
QB,
positions.
let alone a top 10
Purdy-
player.
I'm
Maddie, I
just
said
saying
it,
is
Maddie.
number
about
2 in the
ridiculous.
basketball,
It's
about
ridiculous,
football, about
your comp.
everything.
Telling you,
Stephen A. Smith called
it's
him number 2
it's a
in the
tag
top
team
You can
match.
have
right now.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as
Turn
a
into a
center.
fatal four-way.
If you get it to him, he's hooking it in the basket every time. And you can have a guy like him and Shaq who are going to just dink and dunk all day long over your head. You can play that kind of ball. You got a guy who can do that sort of play. You can play that game. You want a
That's
guy
right,
who can
Dina.
shoot from outside. You can shoot it from outside. You got to know who your opponent
Purdy
is.
isn't either of them.
What's
Purdy is none of them. These are
And
all-time
look,
greats.
so
Purdy isn't
listen,
even
and
great
neither
now.
is Lance. They haven't had enough play to
No,
prove
I'm not
themselves
saying
to
Lance
be
is.
an
I'm
elite
not the one
god
making
in
these
any level.
comparisons.
They're neither one of them can even be in the same conversation as LeBron James,
Steph
any of
Curry,
these
none of them.
Steph Curry, all of these guys. I mean, come on. These guys are proven legends. Kareem
Legends.
Abdul-Jabbar. Those guys are in their own kind of level of they changed basketball. They changed the way the game is played, kind of things. Like Joe Montana. You cannot compare Brock Purdy or Trey Lance to any of these elite players because they don't have the longevity. They haven't played long enough to do it. So if you like one guy over another, fine. Like your guy. But for God's sake, they don't have enough years under their ass to be anything in the elite category. They could be done next year. Neither one of them both of them could walk on a field and suck a duck, and we have Sam Darnold right now as our starter at the end of the season next year. For God's sakes, we don't know how it's going to turn out.
Is that where the phrase "lucky duck" came from?
That was a different one there. That was something
But
different.
literally,
Is that the
we're
follow-up?
fighting over these two boys who don't have a complete season, to quote you, Ted, under their ass, either one of them, and we're fighting like one of them's Jesus and the other one's, I don't know,
Exactly.
or,
I think real quick, I think that's
Go ahead,
the
I don't
problem
know.
here where when the embellishments come in.
Oh gosh,
Because I've seen, people, the Trey Lance people like, oh, he's got Mahomes in him. And then the Purdy supporters, oh, he's the next Joe Montana.
Joe
And it's like, whoa, we need to pump the brakes on all of that.
Thank you.
You're getting way too ahead of things
Ahead
right
of
now.
these boys.
Can
They're
we let
running
these
their
young
head
men
off.
play and develop and just support them?
I was
Right?
just going to say that. Yep.
Yeah.
All I was
Shout out
saying,
to everybody in the
two ways to
chat.
skin a cat.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
I hear
coming
you, Tarrerdome.
through. Make sure you like and subscribe to us, the East Coast Red and Gold, on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Which, of course, it has been for the last 9 years, as you know, right? That's how that works. Make sure to follow us on IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and keep up with the latest in sports and the shows. IESportsRadio.com is updated daily, and you can see the daily show schedules, show pages, personal bios, and much, much more. IESportsRadio.com/East Coast Red and Gold is the site you want to go to there. So all sorts of cool things there. The Sports Radio blog, the Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month. It's been almost a decade now. We're going on 10 years, and you can find out more at IESportsRadio.com/East Coast Red and Gold.
Awesome. Thank you, Maddie.
All right. Tarrerdome, you done hit bingo like 5 times down, didn't you?
Oh man, yeah. I just said it would be 6 of them. We hit higher ceiling, big arm.
You ain't got to run it down, man.
Can't win a Super Bowl. Finger. Somebody said something about the finger, and somebody said dink and dunk. All right, I got
For the record, I never said that Brock Purdy is a dink and dunk quarterback. I said he has a limited arm. There's a difference. Brock Purdy throws real well, 10 to 19 yards. That is not dink and dunk. So
I got noodle arm in there. Noodle arm. So I'm gonna count that as a triple word score. But go ahead.
What's this, Jess?
Oh, somebody in the meeting. Somebody in the
Jen
meeting.
Hammer had tweeted, I think it was last week or the week before, ever notice how the people who really know what it takes to play quarterback at the highest level don't mention having a big arm?
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was. I think they cornered everybody and said, give us your top 5 things a franchise quarterback must have. And it hit me on the spot. I said he's got to have poise, he's got to have a presence, he's got to be nimble, he's got to be accurate, he's got to be a great decision maker, and he's got to master whatever offense it is. Everybody has to master whatever offense it is, whether it's New England with the Earnhardt Perkins. Tom Brady mastered that offense. Whatever it was the Zampese with Troy Aikman, he mastered that offense. Joe Montana mastered the West Coast offense. And this kid is really showing me something about mastering the offense laid before him. Everybody can't play in the same offense. Some people can't, it's like, changing, your tires on your car. Sometimes those tires don't like your car. But if you can master what you have before you, then and only then will you feel good, and will the coach have trust in you to operate a little outside the lines and operate a little outside of the box. Andy Reid's running the derivative of the West Coast offense. Maddie, the book behind me, amen. Andy Reid is off the Bill Walsh tree for y'all sworn in on, and
most definitely
he's mastered that. But Andy Reid says, "Okay, I'll let you can drive my car, son. You can go ahead and take it overnight, and you can do a little, whatever you want to do with it." That's what gives a coach comfortability. When I know you got what I already got and I put it in you, and you can go out and operate outside the lines a little bit. It takes a mastery.
So for clarification, are you saying Purdy has mastered the system or is in the process of mastering the system?
This the scary thing, Ty. I don't think he's fully stepped it out yet, but he ingested so much of it, dude. How far will he go? I'm just project. Life is a projection, folks. We cannot wait at the finish line and pick the winners at the Kentucky Derby. We can't wait until the career over. We can't wait until it's a Super Bowl in their pocket and then say, "Oh yeah, that's the franchise quarterback." You have to project. When they give you that loan on your mortgage for 13 years. They look at your criminal history. You're not your criminal history. I'm sorry.
Jeez, man.
My
you letting cats out the bag here, man. Come on, calm that down.
You're not supposed to say the quiet part out loud.
Maybe listening.
They look at your credit history and they decide, are we going to loan this person based on what you have shown us in the past, the number you need for the next 30 years. And a tryout is a tryout. The great Jerry West saw Kobe Bryant, Lower Marion High School. He came out there to LA and he saw it for 30 minutes and he shut the daggone thing down. Jerry West said, "Ain't no more to see." And they said, "Jerry, what's wrong? What's wrong, Jerry?" He said, "No, I seen enough. That's the best damn ball player I done seen in the last 30 years. He gonna be a Laker before the day is out. I promise you that." We can't wait until you become it and then say, "Yeah, I knew it the whole time." You gotta.
I have a question. I have a question for you here.
If you see those intangible things on them, if you see what you're looking for, and you project out that as a rookie you're at this level, you're gonna. You got to improve based on what you know. Once you get comfortable with the people around you, once you get more comfortable with the scheme, once you get more comfortable in knowing how to release it. I know his speed a little bit more. Debo runs a little quicker to the outside than Ayuk. I can go ahead and release this now.
That's what you do in camp, but Purdy's not there.
No, man, it takes a little bit of time to do. That's why everybody gets better over the next 2 or 3 years.
Not everybody gets better. That's not true. Plenty of people who start out hot and fizzle.
I'm gonna let that go.
There are no guarantees.
In the chat.
Right, there are no guarantees, and there is a sophomore slump. There's definitely that.
Especially after a massive injury to your throwing arm, and now he's missed OTAs and minicamp and probably quite a bit of training camp too. So that's when all these people make their jumps and get the timing down with everybody. It's in practice in the off season. So I don't know when Purdy's supposed to do that, but.
So
Okay,
it's,
Ty.
it's, it's
All right,
Trey
listen,
better
Hugh.
than-
I got a
Is
question for you.
Trey-
I got a question for you.
Is
So
Trey
Hugh,
better-
Hugh,
Okay, hold on.
Hugh,
hold
I've got a
on.
question for you.
Hang
Trey
on
I got
better-
a
one
question for
second,
you.
Fred.
Is
Hang
Trey
on
better-
one second.
Is Trey better
I got a
now?
question for you, Hugh.
Is
Hang
Trey
on,
better-
guys.
Wait.
Go
Let Jess is the moderator.
Hang on, guys. Ty, I'd like you to answer platform 246's question, please.
Which franchise QB today does not have a big arm? Please put this up somewhere and answer. It's legit.
Thank you. I was just going to ask, who are your top
none of
5? Who out of the top 5 don't have big arms?
None of them.
None of them. It's a bunch of hooey.
But it's not to say, you
Well,
know,
I mean,
to be
there's a couple
fair,
teams
Jack
that
Hammer
Brock
is a
can't
known
handle.
Lance hater.
that
Jack Hammer is
Brock
biased.
Brock can't be a franchise QB despite the big arm. It's how he's coached up. It's how he's developed.
Yeah,
You
you
know-
don't have to. You don't have to have a strong arm to be a franchise
don't.
QB.
It's
You don't have to be tall. You don't have to
together.
have top speed running.
Right.
But when you're missing
Joe
all
Montana's
3,
not
it
a
gets
big
really
dude.
difficult. Gets really
I'm
difficult.
bigger than Joe Montana. That's what I'll say to everyone. Like, come on now. Like, he's not a big dude. He's a slight guy. He
But
really
it's also a different era, Bex. This is
No,
not
I
But
know,
wait,
I
look,
know,
though,
Ted, but I'm just
but
saying,
Joe-
like,
2023.
Joe's
But
arm was a little bit
usually-
stronger than we give him credit
Purdy's.
for. Plus, what Matt mentioned before about Walsh coaching him up.
mhm.
Walsh coached him up to deliver that ball when that back foot hit, let it fly, and Joe knew how to throw on time, in rhythm. And people forget
In
that
front.
Joe in front of people, he led the
Yes.
receiver, and people forget that in his career, he had Mike Wilson and Freddie Solomon as his receivers.
Mike
Now-
Wilson
And Mike
has
Schumann,
4
too.
Super Bowl rings. I want you all to know Mike Wilson has 4 Super Bowl rings.
That's right, and these dudes were fast.
Mhm.
They was fast, and he was
And he
hitting them in
was like
stride
the-
downfield.
Third string.
Oh, it's a-
Also,
Dynamic.
defenses have adjusted. Linebackers are smaller now. They cover better now. It's not the same thing.
It's
And so now
not.
that's why Kyle doesn't run a pure West Coast offense. He incorporated part of Joe Gibbs, the zone scheme running, to
Very
have
true,
a
very
hybrid
true.
that's different to defeat these new, better, improved
Mhm.
defenses.
Yeah, exactly. But size, the size of the quarterback, you can have the biggest quarterback guy who's a gunslinger, and you can have a little guy like Patrick Mahomes who's not a huge guy either, but these guys bring to the table what they have. And if you had the right coaching, we talk about this on our show, coaching matters a lot because the coaches will take these players and turn them into what they become.
Yes.
Look at the Alex Smiths of the world and the and our favorite Green Bay Packer guy, who wanted to be a Niner so bad. But listen, if you reverse those roles, you may not have an Aaron Rodgers who's where he is. You might have an Alex Smith who is the Aaron Rodgers of today, because of the coaching and the turnover and the upheaval of their lives. Consistency matters. All of these things come together. So all these players in their own dynamic, they need coaches. They need the right system. They need the right things. And for goodness sakes, somebody look at what Alex Smith has gone through with injuries and almost losing his entire leg and still being able to overcome those kinds of crazy injuries. He could have been Aaron Rodgers. He could have been that guy, and Aaron Rodgers could have been in the reverse role. So coaching matters a lot. So when we talk about these things, it's not just players and their talent and their ability. There has to be some coaching around that and the right people in the right place with the other pieces in the right positions, or you don't have success. I mean, we had that when you look back at the 2012 team. That was Scott McLuhan's team. He drafted that entire team.
Very true.
And what's his face walked in? Mr. I'm going to
Jim
rehab it.
Harbaugh.
Trent Baalke with his ACL.
Oh.
I'm going to draft every
The
ACL.
ACL drafter.
And we got the NFL rehab clinic in San Francisco now. He walked in and took over Scott's entire draft class, and they went to a Super Bowl. You know, it was like an amazing situation. He didn't do anything. That team was there. So, you know, it takes coaching. We had the new coaches come into town and take that team to a Super Bowl. And before that, it was Mike Singletary, and we weren't winning. So coaching staff matters too. So do not discount what that brings to the table.
I'm glad you said that, Bex, because I definitely would take Brian Greasy over Rich Scangarello.
Heck yeah, we got the best coaching staff in
Yes.
business, hands
Absolutely.
down.
That was
agree.
a massive upgrade.
Just saying. I see differences with Mr. Greasy versus Scangarello for the last, I think we had him 2 years prior. The coaching does matter. Greasy has brought something to this table that is so far and beyond better than, I call him Scangarello. He really didn't develop. That's really who you got to blame.
Real name.
Because that mug ain't do nothing for Trey Lance. That was the problem. Trey Lance may be that guy right now.
Yeah.
But Scangarello was just like, I ain't gonna do. Hey, here,
You ain't
boys,
want him.
roll the ball out. And then and I see the evidence of this thing, because faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I see this evidence because he goes on to Kentucky and he get fired from there too.
Yep.
I'll yield my
Shows
time.
what he's really worth.
You know, we talk a bit about coaching, and this is the last thing before I switch gears from the quarterback position. Did the 49ers mismanage the quarterback position as a whole?
Yes. I told them, what's my phone at? And D's online too. They called me for season tickets in 2017. Mr. Terra, do you want these season tickets for the San Francisco 49ers? They called me in April. Shout out D if you're still on, baby. Help me out on this one. I'm asking the church to help me. And they said, look, we got these season tickets for $6,000 or $8,000. I said, if you draft Deshaun Watson in 2017, I will pick up those tickets, but don't call me no more if y'all go out here and do something stupid. And they did exactly what I told them not to do. I think we got Solomon Thomas. We passed up Deshaun Watson, and to me, it was just a no-brainer. Deshaun Watson, I live down here in North Carolina, man. 75 miles away from Clemson University. I've been watching this kid for 4 years, man. He hung 240 burgers on Nick Saban. He won the national championship. The kid was taking care of his mom. I know the other things have happened, but coming out in 2017, I'm just contextualizing it. This was the guy you need. If you a new coaching staff, a new general manager, new people, you got to start with the quarterback, because you know what's going to happen. You're going to be here in 2023 arguing with your friends about quarterbacks if you don't get the guy. And I consider Ted a friend. So, yeah, we mismanaged that. And then, you know, you got Trey Lance coming in. Every indication said, this is going to be your kid. This is going to be your new guy. Let Jimmy be the bridge, and we're going to develop and pick up this dude. This is what we're looking for. I went up to North Dakota State. I drew stuff on a napkin, and this kid had it, and I watched him throw. I got it. This is going to be the guy, but we never embraced this kid like you're supposed to embrace. When you get engaged to a beautiful woman, you supposed to let her know she is the most important thing in your life. Everybody, the little black book goes away. Ain't nobody coming over here, baby. You are number one. You are this. You are the every time I step up. Baby, you are the one. You are this. I ain't looking at her. I ain't looking at this one. I ain't looking at that one. But they kept Jimmy G around like a side piece after you get married. And that was gross derelict and incredible irresponsibility on behalf of the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, we did. We mishandled that greatly. They're trying to clean it up now and bring in Sam Darnold. We got totally lucky, 262nd pick, and get this kid who comes in and just act like he was the natural off of a TV program or off of a movie or something. But yes, because if we didn't get Brock Purdy, we sitting around wondering, hey, can y'all think Josh Johnson can do it, or something like that? Or maybe you're going to Kirk Cousins. I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, it's been since 2017. I gotta say, we've been messing this up a little bit.
Ted, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was a Deshaun Watson guy too. He won the Natty against Bama. If you weren't going to go QB, I said we took the wrong guy from Stanford. We took Solomon Thomas, number 3 overall. Guess who went number 9? Christian
McCaffrey.
Yeah. So, I was unhappy about missing him. But we're talking QBs. Yeah, we told Brady we didn't want him after we lost the Super Bowl. No, we're good. We'll stick with Jimmy G. And then we supposedly tried to get Stafford, but didn't. I guess Kyle went to dinner while McVay swooped in and got him. And then, Lance, a lot of us in Niners Twitter wanted Fields because we felt like he had a higher floor than Lance. But I did feel like Lance had the higher ceiling. Sorry to hit your bingo second time there, Tarrerdome.
Yeah,
but ultimately, he was raw and he did need a bridge QB. I think that was smart to have a bridge QB, but Jimmy G was the wrong one because of all the ties to the locker room. We weren't able to switch them in and out like Matty B was talking about. Kyle wasn't able to do what he wanted and bring Trey in gradually. The locker room revolted, and obviously there's the finger injury too. Both of those things happened. And then even just last year, if you believe that Purdy was our best QB in 2022, why was he QB3 to start the season? Why did Lance have to get hurt to see Purdy? Why did Jimmy have to get hurt to see Purdy? It really gives me doubts that we'll pick the right QB for week 1 this season based off practice. I don't know that Kyle can pick the right QB. So I have some serious doubts about our best QB. Let's say Purdy's ready. There's a competition, and then they decide that Purdy or Lance or Darnold or maybe even Brandon Allen, but that's a joke. Come on. But one of them is our starting QB week 1. I have doubts that it will be the best one. Based off that track record.
Yeah, the QB situation, they've messed up just because when you go back to 2017, it was like, all right, let's bring in Brian Hoyer. And it was like, well, was that really the best decision? Let's start there. Brian Hoyer, like, just because he quote unquote knows the system.
Oh man!
Right, and then we see that the plan was revealed that all right, we're really targeting kinfolk Kirk Cousins for 2018. That they were just waiting on him, but then Kyle got so upset with the performance Hoyer was putting out there because the defense was playing well. If he could just get some good play from the quarterback, we'd have won some games, right? So upset with what Hoyer was doing, and he gets hurt, goes out, and CJ Beathard's out there, and he's just getting blasted, not executing. He got so upset that he called up Bill Belichick, and the Patriots do what the Patriots do. They fleeced us. Let's put it plain and simple. Right? They sold us a hyped up quarterback who played 1.5 games and got injured.
That is the best description I've ever heard of what happened with us getting Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, we got fleeced. Hey, this guy played 1.5 games, got injured, but I give him to you for a second.
He looks good doing it.
He looks good. He's going to bring the ladies to the stadium. We know they spend money.
You're 100% right. It's good. Man, that thing don't make deals with Bill Belichick, man.
You know he was sitting there with his hoodie on.
Your shiesty
he's
uncle
like in the corner, like
used cars.
He that shiesty uncle for real.
Right now. Come on. I'm walking away right now if you don't hand me that money. It's over. Right.
Gave up.
I got
Looking
2 or
for
3
him.
teams lined up, man. They're on the phone right
Yeah,
now.
deal
You gotta
them
go ahead and
Wait,
do
hold
it.
on. I got another call coming in right now.
Yeah.
Put the phone
Yeah.
down.
Double
Eat some
down, all right.
chips.
I'm out. I'm tapping out right now.
My bad. That was the Falcons calling. What was we
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Well, he
What
did.
you
He
say?
did the
Yeah.
Jedi mind trick. He's like, "Oh, you want Brady? Oh, wait." Kraft said no, but even though I really wanted to keep Jimmy,
Yeah.
Kraft's going to make me give him to
Yeah.
you, and we bought it.
Yeah, brought it and boom. But you got to give them credit. They're trying. They're trying to fix the situation.
They trying. They
it's
playing
just
catch up. Yes, sir.
it's a series of unfortunate events happen.
Woo.
But right now we're in this fortunate situation where we got 2 young guys. Let's combine them together and just call them Trey Purdy. We got Trey Purdy.
Oh, that'd
Who's there with a ton of potential.
be real
Right?
nice.
Right? Trey Purdy is there with a ton of potential. Super intelligent, not a runner, but more of a scrambler. Can throw the ball all over the yard, not afraid to make plays happen. We just need time to let this kid develop. And once Trey Purdy develops, it's going to be lights out, baby.
Well
I take
said.
it. I take it.
Maddie, what are your thoughts?
We are where we are supposed to be right now. That's just how it is, right? Like that's how it kind of goes. These things will work themselves out. Everybody's pretty fired up about it and seems to have pretty strong opinions throughout, which is pretty great. But we're a few weeks from camp, and Lord knows we've seen all the things happen at camp here, there, and everywhere, right? All sorts of weirdness happen off the football field. Like, these things always end up working themselves out somehow. It's very rare that somebody actually has to make a decision. Most of the time, nature makes that decision for us. So, we'll see what happens, and it kind of goes from there. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think's going to happen. But
Maddie
that's
with
where
the
we're at.
natural selection reference.
Right?
That, like, the universe is going to decide our fate.
That's really what it boils down to. We can plan and plan and plan, and
Listen,
God last.
you can simulate this season. How many times did we probably, if we had a season simulation button and we simulated it 100 times before 2020, how many of them do you think would have come out with 6 and 10 and most of your manpower lost to injuries, right?
I'm gonna double down on the 0 island.
Well, 0.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who would have thought we'd be on
None of that
QB
stuff
number
ever
4?
It was supposed to
Right.
be revenge tour. Revenge tour.
Right, there's
Yeah.
revenge tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, revenge tour for the
Three-peating
league.
and all those things in the history. We were
Yeah.
supposed to three-peat, blah blah. Yeah.
Even 2018, same deal. 2018 and 2020 are almost the same
2020 was
season.
supposed to be that
It's
revenge
absolutely
tour, yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah.
So
Is Maddie B? Does that stand for Buddha?
No.
Very zen.
I have tried to be much more like over the years. It's just who I am. Who I am as a human.
That's right, Sin. Wait and see mode. All right, switching gears. Are the Niners the best team in the NFC?
Yes.
That is ahead.
Yes, sir.
I think we are. I mean, do I think other teams have tried to drafted well and done some things? I think the Giants might be a sleeper. We should not be worried about. I know, right? Like
Get out of here with that.
We
I'm
hear.
going to put your ass on mute.
hey, I'm right there with you.
Let her use it.
Listen, my best girlfriend is a season ticket holder for the Giants. My daughter's a Giant fan. I deal with them all day long, every day. They're coming out to California like they always do. So I deal with them all the time. But I think,
Did you see today that Saquon said he won't play under the franchise tag? He's going to sit out.
did. Yeah, I
Oh,
saw that.
I didn't see that. Did he really?
Yeah.
That's got to hurt their chances a little.
I believe they have until Monday to get a deal done.
They're going to find
I
some.
love that for us. I do.
Okay.
Because, the more animosity in the.
Look, if he signs after week, say 4, or week 3, so be it, right? No big deal.
Yeah,
Look,
I
even
got
if
no
he
problem
signs
with
after week 2, he probably won't be ready for the Thursday nighter. So,
Right. So,
that's-
There we go.
so hold
Fine
out,
by me.
Saquon. Keep holding out. Pull your diva ass.
Get your money.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Hey,
remember what Emmett Smith did in 1993,
Yeah.
Saquon. You can do it too.
Get paid, man. Get
That's
your
right.
I
money.
remember Emmett's Smith and oh my God, wide receiver. Good Lord, his name.
Michael Irvin.
Michael Irvin, thank you. They were on ESPN talking all kinds of mad nonsense about how they were going to rip the Niners a new one, and we stomped a mud hole in there. That's a kid-friendly show, so I won't say the things I'd like to say. But that interview was so obnoxious, and they were so full of themselves that I was just like, oh, we have to beat the Cowboys. And boy, did we ever. And it was the most glorious thing ever because everyone was talking nonsense and wanted them to win. And I was like, nope, not going to happen. They already sealed their fate. So talk it up, do your thing. We're going to sit back, be humble, and we're going to just walk in there and be the finesse-ass 49ers and take the season by storm.
Tarrerdome. Niners best team in NFC?
You know where I'm at. I got it projected at 15-2. I'm only counting those two that, the law of averages says we got to lose a couple.
We have to lose something.
I am
15-2 here too.
I like these guys, man. I really like this team. I really like the upgrades. I really like the rookies we're bringing in. I don't think we're going to miss a beat. Matter of fact, I think we're going to even get better. As I said, I'm down here in Carolina, man. Steve Wilkes is I don't want to call him a savant. I don't want to call him a genius. I want to say he just is a real good instructor because, when you're in the local affiliates and stuff, you see they have something like Panthers Den or something that comes on like Sunday night. And he's breaking things down to his defensive backs. We got one down from South Carolina named J.C. Horn. It was Joe Horn's son.
Joe Horn.
And he was making it palatable for things that go on because it could get a little complicated when you're playing in the secondary. I used to play in college, and you can miss assignments. Most of the time when people get burnt, it's because
a blown assignment.
I blew that, man. I blew that. I was supposed to trade off when they went in motion. You were supposed to have number one. I was supposed to have number two. But I thought I was gonna go with him, and he went over there. And then it said, where did he go? And he really makes it palatable and coachable for these young men, man. And I think he's gonna add with Chris Kusarek, who is all gas, no brakes. He was in the hiring process for Steve Wilkes. And we simply got two of the best linebackers in the entire National Football League, Fred Warner and Greenlaw. Man, teams are trying to run our defense. They're trying to run it 3 deep. They're trying to run Mabel. They're trying to run this thing, but you've got to have these linebackers who were former safeties who can cover something. I saw Greenlaw one time last year covering Tariq Hill. And then he picked him up and let him know, hey, little boy, you know what I could have did to you. That's just amazing. That's amazing. And they can get down here. They're good in the run fit. Our offense line, we got the best one since Anthony Munoz at left tackle. We just need to get tougher on that right side. I like Feliciano coming back. Coming with us from New York. We got one from the DMV named Joey Fisher. Joey Fisher was throwing people out the club up in Maryland, shout out to Shepherd University up there. It's a little small school, but he was doing big things. You get a chance, check him out. And Spencer Burford just signed on with my cousin. He is
shout out to Cuzzo.
Oh my God, TT, you
That's
did
a blessing right there.
TT, and I had to learn it in the streets. I'm looking at Twitter. I was like, TT, you ain't called me. You ain't called me.
Hey,
come on, cuz. Come on, cuz.
CMC is CMC, man. CMC is real as rain. And I love Jordan Mason. I think you can get that thing to Jordan Mason 25 times a game, and Jordan Mason will get you 100 yards, not to mention our wide receiver group and the tight ends who have just gotten better with the draft. I'm excited about Latu. I'm excited about Williams. We are ready. The QB position will be solidified. I ain't scared of nobody. I will be so glad when it feels like scrimmage already because I'm going against y'all all the time and debating y'all about the Brock Purdy, Trey Lance thing. Y'all really gonna see some work when I go against these teams for the next 17 weeks, and I'm coming on to their podcast and talking to them, boy, like Muhammad Ali in 1966. I'm black, and can't possibly be beat. I am gonna really show my booty. Yeah,
Sarah,
we
I
ready.
hope you add next man up to your bingo scorecard because we got depth on depth on depth. You better add that to your list, baby, because you already just proved my point about everything that we have. We have depth on depth, and when you talked about the running back, you didn't even mention Elijah Mitchell. He's another one who's made of glass. This is his prove it year because he could be the backup to CMC and have that next man up role. But you're right with Jordan Mason and TDP. They're going to be right there chewing at his ankles to be that guy. They're going to be those boys.
Yeah.
Tony, I hope he can stay healthy too.
Don't be surprised if Elijah comes in a few trade rumors. I'm just saying.
Well, of course,
He's already started.
No, but you're absolutely right. We have a lot of talent on our roster, and we're gonna have to do something with it. We're gonna take some trades. There are gonna be people that are gonna get traded, and it's gonna happen. And people are like, "Oh no, I liked him." It's gonna be
business,
Buckner business kind of thing. Like, he's great. He's doing a great job, and we're going to trade him away, and he's going to be great in some other place. But we just have next man up, next man. We've got depth in our chart, and we can't keep everybody that's on the roster, and no one's going to be happy with everything that we do. But you're right. There's depth, and we're going to have to do something with some of these guys. But my goodness, we've got a good problem. And I think our roster is excellent. We have a great group of guys and just depth everywhere. And they don't even want to I read something that we don't even put Jack Coletto on the practice squad because they're afraid someone's going to take him.
Wow.
Swoop him up.
Yeah.
And who's carrying two fullbacks? We brought this up in the last, one of our last shows. Like, I read that and I was like, that's really kind of cool and odd, but Juice is still our dude. And what are we going to do with another fullback if we don't put him on the practice squad? What are we going to make him? We're going to turn him into another running back. And then what happens to our running back roster? Where are we going to make a spot for this guy?
Yes.
So yeah, kind of we have lots of good problems to have as a team. So yeah.
Hey, Maddie. Niners best team in the NFC?
I was just looking at the stats and looking at the other teams. So I'm just going to run through them real quick, and we can all go through it together. Okay? It's pretty simple.
You're the best.
The way I looked at it was pretty much like this. There's the AFC, and then there's, of course, the NFC, which the 49ers are in. So if you look at the standings from the NFC, let's list the teams. Are they the best team in the West?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we all will say yes. We're shaking
yeah.
heads. Yes.
How far ahead of Seattle do you think they are? 2 games, 3 games, 1 game, 7 games?
Maybe 1 or 2 games because I think Seattle has drafted well.
Okay.
But
So
I'm going to say
Seattle,
3.
3?
I'm saying 5. They're still young and
Yep.
ain't ready.
I'll say
We
1 or
showed them
2.
that last season.
But
I
Pete
got it.
Carroll made Geno Smith look like an all-star. So I'm just going to say coaching
Not
matters.
toward the end of the season.
Until he played us.
He
Well,
regressed at the end of the season.
Not going to deny that until he played us. But
The league wrote
do
back.
not discount Pete Carroll as a coach. I think
Carroll sucks. Pete the
they're
Cheat. Go ahead,
going
Maddie.
they're going to
Go
play
ahead,
as
Matt.
hard. They always do. Just don't discount what
He
Seattle does.
can't do the things in the NFL that he did at USC. It's not the same. It's a different era. Pete Carroll, by the way, if he was smart, he would retire from Seattle and go back to college and just be the godfather of the NIL.
He
Like
would.
that's what he should.
All he
That's-
does well now is chew gum. Continue,
Yeah.
Maddie.
He does.
He would be tremendous. He's perfect for college, though. Like he can pull off the Arima, I think.
He does develop DBs well, though, and now they've got some pretty insane DBs up there. So
They do. Now in the South, Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans, Tampa Bay. Better than all of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. North, Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. Better than all of them?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's go to the NFC East.
Shout
Definitely
out,
better than
hold
Washington.
on. Shout out to my cousin Patty, who's a Detroit Lions fan. I'm very
That's
sorry,
right.
PM, but the Niners
Yes.
definitely
Sorry,
are
Patty,
better
where
than
we
Detroit.
dismissed you completely. Yes, we did.
Go ahead, Maddie.
Just
I
a
like
better
that.
roster.
100%. A lot of people are going to be on that Detroit bandwagon this year, but like
Yes.
if they can't teach their players to not gamble, like I just don't understand how they're going to get them together to like win a Super Bowl. But that's me, and
Ouch.
I don't know things. So,
Ooh.
Matt said, "Learn how to play Uno like regular people."
trustees,
Go
Dallas, better than Dallas.
Yes.
How much?
only if Purdy's as good as last year or Lance is that good.
Eh, Don't matter. We're better than them.
We're better than Dallas.
Better
Yeah.
than the Giants?
Yep.
Absolutely.
The Giants
Better
are
than the Eagles?
paper.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Right.
want to see them week
Yes.
13. I really think we got some for those Philadelphia Eagles. If you look at the Eagles schedule, they're gonna have to play Buffalo, Kansas City, and another really good playoff.
They don't
team
have an easy
3
run
weeks
this year.
prior.
They don't. Nor
you
should
know,
they.
And
They're
they,
coming-
they lost both of their coordinators as well. So
Yeah,
And, and they lost their best player on the defensive line.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
that's
Well,
another problem.
One of the
But-
best.
That number one
Yeah.
schedule is
Oh, and
different.
They
by
lost
the way,
all their
remember
linebackers.
that guy.
They lost CJ Gardner
they're,
Johnson.
you know, they're I said this a few
Right
shows
guard,
ago.
running
they're,
back.
They're very hyped up right now, but they're going to come down to reality very fast.
They're going to crash hard. I think they are, because I think the Giants are a young and upcoming team that's going to play them really well, and they're going to.
Super Bowl hangover is real.
Yeah.
I really when I look
they're going to have a hangover, and it's not going to feel good.
when I look at these
Especially for the
divisions,
team that loses.
100%. When I look at these divisions, most of them are going to be 3-3. It's like NFC East. I see every one of those teams going 3-3 in that division. Even Washington's going to win games in that division.
They're going to beat up on each other.
Except for Dak always beats the Eagles, so I don't know about that.
Well, okay, yeah. So there's there could of course Dallas will be 4-2. So that's great. That means they get to host that one playoff game before they go on the road and lose to us, which is fine. It's not a big deal. I don't see that happening in the West per se. I think Seattle and San Francisco will not go 3-3 in that scenario. But in the North and the South, I see every single one of those 3-3, 3-3, 3-3, 3-3. So, like, there should be plenty. Even if the 49ers really, let's say the ball just does not bounce their way in any sort of circumstance, right? Like, bad calls, this, that, and the other, right? And there are some tough games on the schedule. Pittsburgh is no gimme on the road. I'm sorry, it's not. That's a tough place to play.
Very
Cleveland on the road, also not a great one. Monday night against Minnesota, that's loud. Although Kirk Cousins is starting at
Kirk
quarterback on
Cousins
Monday
is
night, so I feel
horrible
pretty good about
after
that.
4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard. He's gonna
Jack-
hold like a cheap suit. Go ahead.
You better win in
Jacksonville.
Pittsburgh because I'll be there.
Jacksonville on the road, that's going to be very cocktail party, and it's going to be way different than the last Jacksonville game. So I think that one's going to be a little tougher. Seattle on Thanksgiving, that is pretty much enough said. Like, as long as Seattle's in the playoff picture, which in the NFC they probably will be, unless everybody
Eating that turkey
kidnapped.
on Seattle's field this year.
Absolutely.
You know
And
what?
then-
You know what? I'm taking this hat off because it's signed by Richard Sherman. So we're talking about Seattle and Thanksgiving.
There you go. Switch it
yeah,
up.
you got to hold that
You
grudge.
know what? I was sitting here. I'm like, what, did she change her hat?
I did. Earlier,
Uh-huh.
'cause I ordered this one and it's got like a weird like brim. It doesn't sit right. So I'm like, it's not sitting. It's cut. It doesn't sit right. So I switched my hat. I did, and that one's signed by Richard.
It looks
Sherman.
It looks good. It looks good. It's like
Yeah,
like you're the
Thanksgiving
star you are,
weekend.
and you don't want anybody to mess with you while you're at the grocery store at Starbucks.
There you go.
It's like
No one would ever do that.
Just
I
let me
promise
shop.
you. I would 5-finger death punch them right in the head.
Oh my God.
Don't come at me about the Niners. Don't even look at me. Don't talk to me. I will hit you right. You won't know it's coming. especially if I haven't had coffee. So that's just how I am.
Okay.
See how
Maddie, were you done?
very
No,
Go ahead.
no.
Continue.
I was letting Becca finish her rant. It was all good. But I mean, the Niners could literally go 11-6, right? Even like, let's say all their tough games, all the breaks just don't go their way, and they lose by a point in each game, which can happen in the NFL. That's just why this league is this league. They could still end up with a number one seed based on every other team around. Like 11-6, 12-5 wouldn't be that much to get the number one seed in the NFC this year. So, I think they're going to be in really good shape. I really
That's where
do.
I've got us, by the way, 12-5 or 11-6.
I have a question for everyone, and I hate to go back to this, but I have to know the answer to this. I have to. As all of you know, the 49ers have to decide on fifth-year options after a certain amount of time frame. After you
I think I'm going to put Maddie on mute.
right? I'm asking.
I'll recuse
ahead.
Your
myself.
connection's breaking up.
Oh no, the wireless isn't working. Fun fact, I
The
fixed it.
Ethernet cord's not even working.
Yep.
I pulled out the Ethernet cord.
Well, so my question is, what does Trey Lance have to do this year to get his fifth-year option picked up, or do you think it's picked up automatically?
He has to play.
Yeah,
It's as simple as
Me?
that. This is a simple question. He
You
has
asking
to
me
play.
or yes?
Well, hold up, time out. I'll tell you just so we can keep this.
well, I
simple.
mean, what does he
Simple-
have to
he's-
do? Because he has to play, obviously. That's
I
step number one.
definitely
You can't just
think
stay here and be
Ty
pretty.
needs to-
Hold on. Let Ty. Hold on. Ty, go ahead.
Ty
He's got
has
to play. He's got to play well. He can't fuck it up. That is that simple, right? That's all it is. He has to play. He has to show some improvement. He has to show he's developing, getting stronger as the season goes on, and not mucking it up, right?
What if he only gets one start and he kills it? Let's say he has let's say week 18, everything's locked up and he tears it up against whoever, and you know the Rams are going to bring everything because the Rams hate us.
right?
But he's had really good he's had really good practices, he's had really good everything, right? He's taken advantage of the one opportunity he had. Is that
First of
enough?
all, do you know what the fifth-year option costs?
Isn't it?
It's like $32 million.
Yeah.
Woo!
They'll restructure that, we know, and wind up signing him to a long-term deal. And this is where the business of football comes in.
The Jordan Love, if you call it. If you like
They
call it
got to
the
make
Jordan
that
Love.
decision,
Yeah.
right?
It gets difficult, though, when Purdy's
So-
only $900K, as Hugh was mentioning. Tarrerdome,
Exactly. It's
0.004 of the
who's
cap.
doing what.
That's
We
when
know
it
the
starts
cap
to
will
come
go
into
up.
play.
We know some players may leave. Things will free up. But it's a matter of what are you playing? Do you have a role here? If it's yes, and they believe in them, they can sign them. If not, I'm pretty sure the business of football will kick in, and they'll trade him next season when they know they'll lose him. Not this season when they can use him and he's affordable.
And it actually might be a little more than that. I think Daniel Jones was like 31 mil this year, but Daniel
That's
Jones was a
crazy.
number
It's
6
very high.
overall pick. And so he's 3 picks later and a few years earlier, which both mean Lance will be more than that for both of those reasons.
Daniel Jones is trash.
Wow.
And he got 40.
Yeah, this is the most aggressive episode we've ever had.
We are in the gutter all night
I
long.
love it. I absolutely love it.
All right. So,
NFC predictions. Am I
Pain.
up on that?
As Flubber Lang would say.
say it again,
Do I
Ted.
get to answer if the 49ers
Oh, yeah, go
are
ahead,
the
go ahead.
best team in the
Go ahead,
NFC?
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends on the QB position. Can Brock play like he did in 2022? Can Trey Lance play that well or better? Can either of them play that well or better? But I mean, if we get that level of quarterback play where Purdy was, then I think we're better than the Eagles. I honestly think the Cowboys are better than people think. They only lost their tight end. They got Brandon Cooks and they got Gilmore, who's a heck of a corner. He's old, but he's still solid. So those are our biggest competition. I'm hesitant to say we're better than either of those teams. Honestly, I think we're really close with the Eagles. And, the Eagles obviously have the best offensive line. Hurts is a better QB. Their weapons are similar. The big difference is their defense had a lot of turnover, whereas ours didn't and the Cowboys didn't. They got a lot of good-looking rookies in that draft, but they're rookies, and even Georgia rookies can bust. So I'm not ready to crown the Eagles. But Cowboys, Eagles, and Niners are the class of the NFC. Well, I think we'll have to see how it plays out.
All right.
And we did a wonderful thing, if I could just throw this in real quick, Jess, to take someone from your rival and to add them to you.
Mm-hmm.
That is the double hat trick. That's the old 90s way of doing it. When they took Charles Haley from
Haley.
Yes.
put him on the Cowboys.
Worst trade ever.
God, yes. And
then the 49ers reversed it.
This is going to be pretty big. They don't know how big it is yet, but that's really gonna. Javon Hargrave and Abosa together. Oh, ooh, yeah, baby, yeah.
They're gonna wreck shop.
I'm going to that game. Yeah,
That's a Ken Norton Jr. coming over from the Cowboys to solidify the linebacker position, right? And because that was the reverse Uno card for the Charles Haley deal, although it still was the full reverse Uno because the Cowboys had to come back next year thanks to Neil O'Donnell not knowing what he was doing.
The conference, man, not a good player. The Bill Belichick method is trade them opposite coast, opposite conference, the bottom of the conference.
You want to see
the offer was. You are not going to Dallas. Bye-bye. Yes. You are going to New England. Welcome. I would like you to meet. Who the hell was the coach back then? Yeah, I think it was. Dick
but Grogan was the quarterback, wasn't he?
Steve Grogan.
It was somebody. Yeah, I would have traded him to the Jets with Rich.
No, I think Zolak was the quarterback that year. That was bad.
All right. So speaking of the Eagles, let's go to that Deebo Samuel interview.
All right.
All right. So. Give me un momento. I'm going to pull up the hot button portion here so we can all just take a listen real quick.
Your call. I saw what you said about the Eagles back at the Super Bowl at Sirius, where if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt, you guys would have won that game by double digits. Why would that have been the case?
I don't know. That's old.
So do you not still believe that?
I mean, I do, but I mean, we're not. That shit is like we're not gonna keep talking about it. I mean, I said what I said.
Gotcha. So then what happens this year when you play Philly on December 3rd?
I don't know. Just wait till week 13, 12, whatever week it is. We'll show you.
Well, then you know how that's going to go down. You're going into Philadelphia. Those fans are going to be booing you loud. You have a message for Eagles fans?
Hey, guys.
Yeah?
All right. We're good to go.
What do you mean? We have Deebo on right now.
Yeah, I know, but we're going to head into camp right now.
Are you serious? Okay. Thank you. There you
Thanks,
go.
Bye.
Deebo Samuel right there. Doesn't want to answer a few questions. Are you serious? We got hung up on because all we did was ask him about the quarterback situation and then Philadelphia? And we got hung up on by Deebo Samuel? That's a joke. An absolute joke. That's absurd. We were told we had 15 minutes with him. He was on for 5-6 minutes, and he didn't want to answer anything. So I've done this long enough. That was just get the promotional plug out of the way. Then you don't want to answer any questions, and you hand the phone off to the public relations person. What a joke that was.
The only joke are those questions.
Mm-hmm.
The quarterback situation, the Eagles game, it's a game that we all want to forget. And it's dumb to even ask.
It really is.
And to be honest, he answered, he said, it's old. Yeah.
It's a certain thing, and I'd love to bring up my boss one more time in this one. It's a certain thing people have when they are. It's not Asperger's. I think Chris Rock has it. He's addressed it on like CBS Morning News. I don't know exactly what it's called, but some people can't pick up on social cues. They don't know when to shut up or change it or finesse it a little bit. When the man said Yeah, I don't really want to talk about it right now. Then he gave you indisputable evidence. Dude, don't go there right now. That's something I can't really talk about right now. And this interviewer just kept pressing and prodding and pushing
Yep.
and wanted him to give what's called bulletin board material to the Philadelphia Eagles when we played them week 13. And Debo was registering that in his mind and said, no, I better stay away right now. No, I don't want to talk about it now. You know, I said what I said. It's out there. That's it. That's it. And he just kept, and now he's like, what happened? I'm so hurt. Debo stopped talking to me, and he just used me. No, dude, you was trying to get that bulletin board material for your show to get the clicks, to get the likes, to get the algorithm going. And Debo wasn't gonna be a privy to your little mad scheme right then and there. That's truly what happened. And everybody who sees it another way, and I question you a little bit.
Go ahead, Ted.
That's what I see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think everybody in Philadelphia has been talking about how he cried about the NFC Championship game. And I was just saying, well, the people kept asking Debo about it, and he answered honestly. And so finally he kind of got the message and decided not to answer that question anymore. And now they're all mad that he's not their little puppet. Just, you know, they're pulling the strings and he's not dancing anymore. And so too bad, guys. Sorry. You know, some people tried to make a big deal out of it, like, oh, he made a commitment to be on the show and do an endorsement. But I disagree with that. I think that, you know, you got to respect players. And if they draw a boundary, you got to respect their boundaries. There's plenty of other things you can ask Debo, including like, oh, tell us about, you know, you said you had a bad season in 2022. Tell us about that. I think that's fair game. So yeah, the guy, you know, the Eagles fans are just they're looking for somebody to pick on because they're getting picked on by the Chiefs about the Super Bowl, and you know what is rolling downhill, and they're just trying to find someone else to pick on, and they beat us, so they got that. But you know, if they're honest, they would tell you that you know it would have been a different game if Purdy had played, if he had stayed healthy. So.
Well, that was where I was going to go with it, Ted, is because if you watch the Kelsey Brother podcast when they have Brock Purdy on, it's very clear that they both believe that the game would not have been the slam dunk. It would not have been easy. It was not going to be an easy game. And I'm sorry, if every one of our guys should have been were emotional. And rightfully so. Debo crying and Debo being upset and having a moment over knowing that was our game to win. They would have been crying in a corner too. They would have been just as emotional. And so for these guys to keep coming back, circling that whole wagon, like it's something new to ask Debo is it's like stupid. Why don't you ask Debo about his comments about, hey, yeah, I was emotional in my contract year, but you know what? I'm a different guy. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for everybody. Like talk about that, your whole change of attitude and how you went into your contract, you know, with one attitude and now you've got a different one. And you saw different people handle things differently. You see George Kittle handled his contract different than you're seeing Nick Bosa handle his. Debo was emotional. He was a very different guy. And he admitted that he had a really down season because he let his emotions get the best of him. These guys are human beings. So if you want to keep tapping into the same old thing, you're going to get someone who's like, I'm over this. No, I'm not going to sit here and feed into your little whatever narrative. You want to ask me some real questions. You want to bring me on and have a real conversation about what we think the next year is going to look like, the next football season is going to be. Fine, let's do it. But don't keep bringing up, you know, rip the Band-Aid off one more time. Like that wound is healed and I don't need to talk about it. Like I got a scar. Sure, it's here. You want to see it? It's there. Yeah, whatever. I'm over it. Let's move on. Let's talk about something real. And I think that's where
Yep.
Devo is, which I personally love because I think mentally and emotionally he's healed. He's moving on. He's in a better place. I don't want Debo on these podcasts, like crying about whatever those kind of moments. It's not healthy, and if he's still hanging around those moments and shoulda, coulda, woulda, then yeah, we got a problem there too. But to have Debo be like, yeah, I got no time for you in this. Good for you, Debo. Good for you.
Hey, he could come on our show and we wouldn't even ask him
On our
that.
show
Maddie, what are your thoughts?
We'll talk about all the fresh stuff. That's right. Exactly.
And this is why Bill Belichick is so surly at the podium when they were asking him about like
he knows.
last week or something like that. He said, "Yeah, we're on the Cincinnati.
Last week,
Yeah.
we're in this week. What
We're
are you
on the
talking about?
Cincinnati. Yeah, we're on the Cincinnati.
Exactly. Playoffs? Who's talking about playoffs?
Yeah,
Come
we're on
on.
the Cincinnati.
Like, we're looking at next week. Come on, man.
Hey, Maddie, are you with us?
I am with
He's
you.
with
I was
us.
just,
His
you
camera
know,
just keeps
like-
freezing. That's all.
We're like,
That's why he looks like he's voguing. He's
I
like,
know. I thought you were laying in the
keep
cut trying to get the
he's like
picture. You know
a
what I'm saying? Like,
drunken super in the corner, frozen. It's the best thing
Honestly,
ever.
exactly,
Don't
turned
like that.
posing for that selfie.
Honestly, at the end of the day, that's just like basic gutter sports radio, right? That is. I'm trying to be aggressive. I'm trying to get a bunch of clicks on my station's website so that when they're thinking about doing layoffs next year, I won't be included. That's literally all that was. I've seen that 40,000 times over the last few years. And it happens once in a while. Very aggressive on the questions. Like, and is that it? Are you out of questions? You don't have anything else you can ask? Like, if you're not vibing with something, the whole point is to create content for your audience so that they can get somebody to talk. If you don't get somebody to talk, you're doing nothing. Then all you're going to do is say, "Oh, that's all that was. It was a sponsor thing, and that was it." Well, you had 15 minutes and you blew it, guy. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, do better. If you're a professional, do better. If you're not a professional, well, whatever, right? That's all I can tell you, man. That was your basic gutter Jim Rome getting knocked out by Jim Everett sort of deal thing, right? Same basic crap.
Old school.
Ty?
Yeah, well said, Matt. And it was, for me, it was just very old school shock jock radio-ish, right? Because he threw his arm around Debo in the beginning. Hey, how you doing? How's your off season? How's the workout? Blah blah blah. And then after that, after he got him talking, it became all right. Let's get the clickbait questions going. Let's get something that I can use, right? So he just went into the quarterbacks, and even before that, he was like, "Oh man, people doubting you in 2022. What you got to say about that?" And it was like, "Wait a minute, what happened to how you doing? All of a sudden, people doubting me. Okay, chill." Then he went to Brock Purdy. Do you think Brock can do it again? Do you think he can sustain it? It's like, wait, now you doubting my teammate. Then he goes into Trey Lance. It was like, what are you seeing from Trey? Do you think he's going to be around in San Francisco? Right? All these. So even before he got to Philly, he was building up that kind of antagonistic approach and egging Debo on. And even Debo, when he was answering the question, he was like, look, that's above my pay grade. I don't know. Next, right? Just come on, man. Give me something. So when he got to the Philly questions, right then, Debo had enough at that point. It was like,
tiring.
Oh, here we go with this again.
Yeah.
And it was
100%.
like, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. You called this publicist, whoever was there, like, yo, tell this dude I'm out. I'm done. There's only so much, poking that you can do at these players before they're going to be like, all right, I'm done. This ain't it. And that's what happened.
Yeah. If you're not a Debo guy, you're going to say, there's one more instance where he just sucks and he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. Fellas and ladies, let me tell you, my wife and I traveled on up to Green Bay, Wisconsin when we played those Green Bay Packers. And let me tell you, that hawk was out. It was 11 degrees at kickoff. I was tailgating with a few 49er fans, and they were drinking their beers and said, hey, fellas, I got to go sit over the fire. My beer froze. Deebo Samuel shows up in the playoffs. This dude was limping, him and my boy Big Trent Williams. Hey man, I know what dog is, and when you need him, we got some in the military we call the foxhole test. I don't need to see you when it's pretty and things are perfect conditions, and it's September, y'all throwing that ball all over the place, and you got your Under Armour on, and you're looking sweet with a sweet towel. No, this is a nasty business here. We got to see you in January when the weather has gone down, when we need you for these yards, when I'm calling your name, when I need you at your most pivotal point. I need to see you operate in moments of chaos. And Deebo Samuels comes and carries the mail. I am telling you to a man, you get it to 19 and you can just bet that Duke in his hand, that football, that Wilson, that brown leather, he is going to put it on whoever he needs to put it on to get the San Francisco 49ers a win. I'm a Deebo dude. He might not be the greatest with the press. Neither was Beast Mode. But I tell you this, if you're playing linebacker, I bet you didn't want to go grab hold of these Beast Mode coming downhill on you. You don't want none of 19 in playoff time. That's what we pay him for. That's what he'll be ready for. If you want the greatest, nicest guy, Mr. Congeniality or something, hey man, go on out and get who is that? That's taking over Jeopardy now. Ryan Seacrest.
Oh yeah,
and have him line up at slot.
At the end of the day, if this lights a fire under Deebo, I'm all for it.
yeah.
Before we go, I just want to touch on something else as far as the Hall of Fame.
Roger
saw that today.
made the short list.
Yeah, well, the coach. Let's start with the coach at George Seifert, John McVay, Mike Holmgren, and Mike Shanahan. And then as far as players, most notably Roger Craig, which is long overdue.
Yes, gotta get him in. I'm on my personal pilgrimage. I've been putting stuff out. Roger Craig deserves to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Before there was Marshall Faulk, before there was Edgerrin James, before there was the LaDainian Tomlinson, before there was a CMC, there was a number 33 coming at you, and we called him Superman. We called him Catfish. I got to urge every 49er fan, if you can vote, if you can get Roger Craig, if you have any love of the San Francisco 49ers, please get Roger Craig into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Talk to your journalists, talk to your people, talk to everybody in your hometown, talk to the San Francisco Mercury News, whoever is the press and anybody within the sound of your voice. Get Roger Craig into the Hall of Fame. He deserves it, man. Catfish,
Absolutely.
That dude.
And he's a really, really nice guy. He is a nice dude. We met him on many occasions, and just a really, some of these players and some of these people, not always the nicest when you finally get to meet these guys.
Oh yeah.
Roger Craig, just an ace. He really is. Yeah. He is a top shelf, 100%. Deserves it.
Yeah, he should have been in.
That's
like a long time ago.
He's being punished for that fumble against the Giants
from the 80s.
And has been for a while. Straight up.
He's the only all-decade run back. He's only all-decade run back who's not in. It's Walter Payton, Eric Dickerson.
Yeah.
It's somebody else I'm missing right now, but Roger Craig is on that list. And they were all great. They were all 80s team.
The first to do the 1,000.
And you
Like,
could
Also-
go back
also-
to- go ahead.
Oh, he's
Ted.
also the first to score 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got many firsts on his list.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a leader on
He
certain
was the
lists.
elite guy who did all
Right.
of these things first, and he's not in yet.
And here's a kicker too. The hill that Jerry Rice runs, it was Roger Craig that took him to that hill.
That took him to that hill. Yep.
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 Yep. Yes.
And you could
Yeah,
actually
Matt-
go
It's like
back
King
to
of
our
the
show with Matt Mayoko, and
Mhm.
he spoke about Roger Craig and George Seifert
Yep.
as far as going into the Hall of Fame.
Both
Yeah.
of them.
Does anybody have any other thoughts?
Shout out to
I need a
you,
nap.
Jess. Thank you for putting this all together. You just can throw that there, man. I appreciate it. I know we got a little, it's what me and Ted do. We just
Thank you for the
like-
fire,
No,
Tara.
it's not what we do. Let's be real,
How it
Q.
is.
We've never done this before, but it's fine.
We didn't
And
get that.
look,
we
no
didn't
hard
get that
feelings.
fiery. Yeah. Oh no. And I'm gonna be on
No
the
hard
show. You're gonna
feelings.
have me on the show, and we'll talk about the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors again, and it'll be all right. But I just had to
Absolutely.
passionately defend and give the people what they want. If they would have said, "Dad, you just came out there like a little punk, man. You just let him just tell everything." I'm like, I know. I'll stand up tonight. I'm gonna.
You brought the fire. You brought the
I'm
fire.
gonna be Tarrerdome tonight. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
All right.
Thanks for good viewing. If everybody's just like,
round on our show, but hey, there's
if
different-
everybody's
Let's go to our hurry up offense and the 2-minute warning.
Boom.
Go ahead, Maddie.
I don't have a ton of stuff. Thanks everybody for coming on tonight. That was a good time. It's pretty spicy for the off season, which is great because we need that because training camp isn't that far away. Also, get your tickets for training camp if you haven't gotten those yet.
Becca?
Hey, 2 weeks till camp starts, like official. Our real camp coming in hot. We are firing it up already on the pregame show. So stick around. Look, as always, I love Patrick Willis. He doesn't know. He's my future. I'm just gonna throw that out there because I don't have anything else to throw in the mix.
There's that pineapple champagne talking.
Whew.
There it is.
Go ahead, Ted.
Is that what it is? Beck.
Pulling up
Yeah,
deep
thanks
like
for-
Steph Curry, shooting her shot.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to see the QB battles. I will be there, I think, all 9 days of training camp.
Nice.
So if anybody's going to be there, make sure you come by, shake my hand. Love to get to know everybody. No hard feelings if we bicker on the timeline. That's different. And I'm excited for all our QBs, but mostly for Purdy and Lance. I believe in both of them. I think we may have that struggle of having 2 great QBs on one roster. I hope we have that problem. One thing I will say, Bex, you talk about depth on depth. I do worry about tackle depth because after McKivitz, I don't trust Jalen Moore and I don't trust Matt Pryor. So let's hope our offensive tackles stay healthy.
True.
Yes, indeed.
Go ahead, Tarrerdome. Closing thoughts.
I absolutely love the San Francisco 49ers. We have what we need in this house. If you're wearing SF, it is for So Fine. It is for So Faithful. It is for San Francisco. It is for Special Forces. We're set upon and set apart from everybody else. We're the most informed. We're the most passionate. We're the greatest that you can ever imagine. I want you to walk in your victory, no matter where you're at on the planet, East Coast, West Coast, worldwide. This is going to be all about the San Francisco 49ers. We got everything we need, and we're just going to make it happen and just enjoy the hate. When they hate on you, your haters are your elevators. Hey, it's par for the course. I've been dealing with this since 1981. It's all good. I love to hate. You got to get like Kobe in that commercial and say, man, you got to turn that up a little bit. That's an old joke right there. Or you hating too? I know, man. You see me shining, don't you? You see me shining. Love to embrace that hate. I love it. You know why? because we the San Francisco 49ers, baby, and we roll like that, and we're going to be that. And I will see y'all at some of those games. I'm going to see y'all wherever we see, and we're going to get together some more and talk some more, man. As long as we talking faith, family, and football, you got the kid. You got the kid. You got the kid 100%. Thanks a lot, Jess. Shout out to you, Bex. Ty, my man, Matty Ice, because you shooting with the little poses and everything. And, of course, Ted Talks. We'll get it on, baby.
Ty, go
There you
ahead.
go. Also, real quick, I just want to say I was looking at all my SFs in my background, and I just want to make sure I point out that this one came from Bex from the Diva Den.
Bex fan.
So, I'm not sure if I've been on with you and said it
Diva
before,
Den
but
towel.
just in case I hadn't, I had to point that out. Looking at one of those so fine symbols.
Very special.
Sorry to jump on you there, Ty.
Nah, it's all good.
I
All
have my
good.
own towels for my Diva Den.
Nice.
Yeah, Ty.
Hey, somebody came out today and put out a rumor. I keep telling everybody, ignore those rumors. Training camp is right around the corner. Our actual reporters will be in the building. Listen to them, not some dude from Cuba who somehow has a connection to somebody in Atlanta who knows what's going on in San Francisco.
Preach.
Amen. There you go.
Preach.
And don't retweet it.
Guys.
Somebody did, and they got dragged.
Don't retweet
No,
it.
Exactly.
You don't even know.
No,
It was not pretty.
Thread the needle with your comments.
You know, guys,
not
at
pretty.
the end of the day, it's about the logo. It's not about the name on the back of the jersey. Whoever is under center and gives us the best chance to win, that's who I want
Trey Purdy.
out there. I know our team is in good hands with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. You know, I can't say enough good things about them. Yes, I am a Shanna stan, Shanna fan. But you know what?
Kind of girl.
Go Niners, and let's bring on training camp. And like Ty said, listen to our reporters. They know what they're doing. And guys, you know what? We're all faithful. We all root for the same team. Let's get along. Let's hype each other up. And can't wait for the season. And go Niners. Like and subscribe. Thank you to everybody. Ty, Maddie, Tarrerdome, Ted, Becca.
Thank you, Ted and
You guys are
Tarrerdome.
awesome.
Thanks for being on, guys.
Red and gold.
Thanks.
Let's go.
It's
Go
fun.
Niners.
Go
And
Niners.
of course, for the upstart 49ers, they're 6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3.
We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly.
Montana looking,